Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Cannon Chatter TV. I'm G Talks Arsenal, your host for tonight's special show, which is the Transfer Deadline Show. It's not just the Transfer Deadline Show because we will also be covering lots of topics with regards to Arsenal, notably, obviously, the 2-1 win in last night's Premier League game against Aston Villa, which, we didn't make it easy for ourselves, but nonetheless, 3 points, 5 in 5, sitting pretty at the top. And we'll also obviously be looking ahead to a massive game at the weekend at Old Trafford. Currently, United are winning 1-0 at half-time against Leicester. Never an easy game when you're going to Old Trafford, despite both teams' contrasting forms. But yeah, we're going to get right into it because there's a lot to get through. But in all honesty, I don't know where to start, but we're going to start with introductions. So, Lee, official Cannon Chatter member, how you doing, bro?
I'm all right, mate. Not too bad. I've had an interesting 24 hours. I won't go into it, but it's a long day yesterday.
I can imagine. I can imagine.
In and
No
out of
problem.
A&E, not fun, but all good now.
Good. But yeah, no, glad you could make it. Glad you could make it. We'll go to our next official member, Bobby. How you doing, bro?
Yeah, man, I'm blessed, man. A little bit tired, but because obviously I went to the Villa game, and
You did.
I sit with some regular tuners, and I met some new ones, and they plied me with red wine. So I'm not really a red wine drinker. And yeah, and it had a bit of an effect on me today. I had to take my dog to the vet this morning, and I was just so ropey. I've just been
I hear
ropey.
you.
I've been ropey all day, man. Just watching the transfer deadline day. So. But other than that, man, I'm good, man. I'm actually looking forward to it all being over, so we can just concentrate
I
on
hear
this
you.
League Cup, man.
I hear
So
you. I hear you. I think we all are. Do you know what I mean? I think we're still all hoping for a little signing, a little surprise. But nevertheless, I think once that window shuts, I think we can all concentrate on football. Do you know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and obviously our special guest for tonight's show is Brendan. Welcome to the show. Obviously somebody that I do know from obviously I don't think we've actually been on a stream together, but I feel like I know you
No,
because I've
not
seen you
yet.
on screen. But yeah,
Yeah,
welcome
yeah,
to the
yeah.
show, man. How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Just thanks for having me on. And well, just the normal stress of watching Deadline Day, and then I was just watching Star Wars movies, which gave me more entertainment, man, because I hadn't seen
Yeah,
them. So
I hear
yeah,
you. I hear you, bro. I hear you. It's one of those ones where it's like I woke up this morning and you know what, my eyes opened and I couldn't sleep. So I just thought, you know what, like my wife thought it was weird in it when she came down and the whole kitchen was tidy. She's thinking, what's going on here? But that's what it was like, bro.
What's he
I
done?
woke up, yeah. I woke up, I couldn't sleep, and I thought, let me just do some housework. Do you know what I mean? I don't know why, but I was a little bit nervous, a little bit excited, and to be honest, now I'm thinking like, what was all the fuss about at the present moment, anyway. But yeah, so where are we gonna get started? So we're gonna start basically, obviously, right now is the massive topic, the massive talking point. You guys are gonna have to keep me posted because I can't really do this and look at the screen, even though I see my notifications piling up to the left of me. But yeah, I'm gonna come to you first, Brandon, seeing as you're our special guest for tonight's show. Talk to me about this, Louise. Obviously, Douglas Luiz, Aston Villa player, 23, Brazilian international. Um, you know, from what you've seen on the timeline on social media, Sky Sports, how are you feeling about this deal potentially getting done, and thoughts on the player?
well, yeah. I mean, well, Douglas Luiz. I mean, I've always rated the guy,
Yeah,
but I never ever thought that we would even be in for him. I mean, I certainly wasn't looking at him to bolster our midfield. You know what I
yeah,
mean? And I'm just surprised that it's just come up. From like today because I thought it was all summer. There was talk about Yuri Tielemans,
mm,
and I'm still a big fan of Tielemans actually,
yeah,
but I just thought that with all the injuries and everything now,
mm,
people are saying it's a panic buy, but I think if we get it done, I
mm,
think we're getting a quality player in.
yeah,
I really do. I mean, I think he's one of those. He could play six or an eight, isn't it? So
yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean, and that's what we need. We need that we need that player that can play in both. Because if we get him and he fills in for Party, I have no arguments.
yeah,
Even Party, Lewis could probably even play together. I've been impressed with Granit Xhaka with his form. I'm not his biggest fan, but I'm happy with what he's brought to the team. He's been
100%.
consistent. He's been consistent in these
Yeah.
5 games, and you know, it's like right now at this moment in time. Well, I'll tell you what: if Granit Xhaka gets out on Sunday unscathed in terms of cards, I'll be very impressed. So yeah, I think getting Dubs to within, I think it'd be a good bit of business
Definitely,
if we can get it done.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of that floating about. It's almost like any time a club goes out and makes a signing on the last day of the transfer window, it's seen as a panic buy. And I'd somewhat disagree. I think there's lots of evidence to suggest that's correct. I think as Arsenal fans, we could probably bring up a long list of players that we would consider the panic buys. But I think a lot of the time it does depend on the market. It depends on when players do have contractual situations, running down the clock, etc. And a lot of the time it depends on the selling club actually being able to acquire a target to come in to kind of fill that gap. So it's not always as simple to just get your business done early. Sometimes it does take time. Sometimes it goes right down to the wire. And I think in this situation, I honestly don't believe that this signing would have been in the pipeline had the injuries to Thomas Partey and El Nene took place. I honestly believe that. I think in terms of the midfield, I think as much as we may all have different opinions about whether the midfield is what we need or what we want, at the end of the day, we don't run the club. And I'm sure Arteta and Edu have different opinions to us. So I'm not sure we would have gone in for Luis had those injuries not happened. I think Mikel Arteta made it very clear after the Aston Villa game last night that those injuries and the assessment to El Neni, the extent of his injury, has left us short. And I think that's why there's been this push for Luis. My only criticism here in this situation is that, if the Luis deal doesn't get done, where's the plan B? Because ultimately you surely you have a short list of players, that you could potentially go to. You can also look at a criticism potentially being the likes of Ainsley. Like, I don't want Ainsley at the club. At the end of the day, he's somebody that can play in midfield. Right now, the only recognised number 6 we have is Sambi. Also, you've got Aziz. I was saying in me and Bobby's group chat, I was talking about, like, if we don't get the Luis deal done, maybe we could promote him and play him in the Europa League. He's now gone to Ibiza, some club called Ibiza. So I think there are angles where fans could come at, not come at Arsenal, but could look at this window and the injuries and the inability to sign somebody and actually constructively criticize the club. It's not about being toxic. It's not about hating the club. It's not about abuse, but it's just about looking at the situation and maybe seeing where it could have been maybe managed a little bit better. But at the end of the day, they're the experts, so we can only put our trust in them. I'll come to you now, Bobby. With regards Luis. So, I don't know how you're feeling about the possibility of the deal getting done, but, is he a player that you like, that you admire, that you think would fit into our system?
Yeah, 100%. I really like him as a player. I actually thought that Pep would probably take him back. Because I remember when he first left City, they had a buyback on him.
Yeah.
I thought that he'd actually go back to City, but then when obviously they bought Calvin Phillips and he signed a 4-year deal with Villa, that kind of put that to bed. But yeah, I'm actually, because obviously I'm from Birmingham, I got a lot of Villa fans as friends, and I've been speaking to a lot of them over the last couple of days since this news has come to light that we could be interested in him, and he's very split in the he splits opinions in the Villa fan base. But one of my Villa friends is a season ticket holder, and she's a very good judge of a player. And I've been speaking to her quite a lot today. And and she said that when he first came, he was kind of used as an 8. He was more attacking, and he used to score. I think he scored like 8 goals his first season.
Yeah,
for them from midfield. And she said he was like really flary. He'd get forward. He'd get on the end of crosses, but he'd also take a lot of long shots and stuff, But then she said the last couple of seasons he's played more with the holding midfield role, which he can do just as well. But she said he doesn't spot danger as good as some defensive midfielders, and he gives a lot of silly free kicks away. And since he's been playing in defensive midfield, they haven't seen a better Douglas Luiz. So He's probably
Okay.
he probably looks like he'd be a better backup DM than a starter. But who knows what he'd be like in our system underneath our manager with the players that he'd have around him. Playing in Villa's squad with their players and playing
Exactly.
playing
It's
with us
completely different.
could be totally different.
Definitely.
I mean, and in terms of the I don't know, the planning of us going through and sort of thing. I mean, you were saying that maybe he could be like a plan A, but I mean, who knows that he could be our plan B?
True. Very true. Yeah.
The club could actually be happy with what they've got now. And I mean, we don't know the length and the depth. I mean, we know that Mo's injury is 6 weeks. Is it 6 weeks? They said.
I don't know because nothing officially's come out. Like at the moment, I think the latest what Arteta, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't know if you guys heard, but from what I got last night when he was asked, he just said it will be a significant amount of time. It will be long term. Like there's actually no definitive, amount of time.
I saw something on the TL saying that he was out for minimum 6 weeks, maximum 2 months.
Okay.
So if they're looking at that, and if Thomas Partey's injury is not that serious, remember the other thing I did mention in the group chat as well is that we've only got football now for October from now till mid-November, and then it all stops for the World Cup.
World Cup, yeah.
I think there's only like 12 or 13 Premier League games, and then
the next window.
To the next window. So I think basically we've only got 20 games. We probably play 6 Europa League games, and then we'll probably play 4. Probably one round in the FA Cup because the FA Cup doesn't start until January. The first round of the FA Cup. The FA Cup is always the lower league teams play. Christmas. So we'll probably play a couple of Capital One Cup games, which the first team players normally don't play them games anyway. So I think the club will probably be looking at our schedule and thinking we might be okay.
Maybe we can cope. Yeah,
because actually Xhaka can, because we know Xhaka can play. We've actually got 4 players that can play in the DM role. With Xhaka, Lokonga, Al Neni, and Partey, but also Ben White can play there. So we've got
that was mentioned in the group chat earlier. Yeah,
so we've got Cedric and we've got Oniyasu that can cover right back. But we've also got Ben White that can come inside and do a job at DM. So looking at the way that we've done our transfer bit dealings, it doesn't look like we're going to be adding players unless they're part of our long-term vision.
Also if the money's right as well, because we've refused to overpay this summer. We've
turned away from players because of not been right, So I'm happy with the way that we're moving, and I'm happy that I'll be happy if this Douglas Luiz deal does happen because we'll have a better squad, obviously. But I don't think it's a necessity, myself personally.
No problem. We'll go to 2 comments before I come to you, Lee. Ellie here, big up Ellie from the Twitter group chat. Evening, guys. Good to see you all. Have we signed anyone yet? No, not at the moment. We've only had confirmation that Bellerin's gone, Miguel Aziz has gone, and Ainsley's gone, but no incomings as yet. But there is still time. Jamie here saying, did Aziz get the Wenger bust? I think. Oh, that made me laugh. That one did make me laugh. Cheers for that one, Jamie.
Nice.
Right, Lee, I'll come to you. Obviously, you've heard from Brendan and you've heard from Bobby with regards, obviously, what they think of, Luiz. Just give me your thoughts of him as a player. And, I think, Brendan kind of, made it clear that I think similar to me, I think, personally, we kind of share the opinion that we're a bit light in that area.
Yeah.
Bobby kind of differs slightly in that he feels we can cope. We've got players that are versatile enough to kind of come in there and do a job. Where do you sit? So first of all, give me your thoughts on the player, and where do you sit in terms of our kind of midfield options?
Well, it's a player that Arteta's going to know well from his time over at City, isn't it?
Very good point. Yeah.
So it's clear that they saw a lot of about this kid. He wouldn't have 20 odd Brazil caps otherwise. Do you remember sort of way back in, I think it might have been one of your Rumour Mill shows when you were talking about one of them signings that might not get you absolutely excited, but it's one of them to improve the depth of that squad, if you like. For me, it's kind of ringing along them sort of lines. He's one of them players. He's got moments of quality. We saw that last night, and it's not the first time he's hit a set piece and it's gone straight into the net.
Yeah. Maybe that's why they're playing so hard to get, man, because they're pissed from last night.
I've heard a couple of things from this. I'm sure you guys have probably seen it, right? You've probably seen Jesus at the end of the game. There he is, having a little
word.
Having a little... The food's good over here, mate. Yeah. And all this. So, you do wonder if they're playing hardball with us because of that. There was a little bit of talk. I don't. You read this? Edu might have spoken to him as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of rumors flying around that they're not particularly happy with maybe our approach to the deal. Yeah.
But I think it's probably important for me to bring up, as it hasn't been brought up yet, that Villa have actually signed Ndonka off Wolves.
They have. They've signed a midfield replacement in effect. So
precisely,
it's a weird one. It's a real weird one, and I think it will go down to the wire. I think at the moment we were talking off air and we were saying how at the moment there's so many conflicting reports. For every one reporter saying that a third bid's gonna go in and Villa are potentially considering it, there are 2 or 3 saying this deal's done, this deal's dead. They're throwing in the towel. So it's really hard to know how it's going to go. But I guess, we'll all find out soon enough. I'll come to you first on this one, because obviously we have to talk about, obviously, the window itself. And you don't need to talk about all the ins and all the outs, but there's going to be a lot of reaction to tonight's events, whether we sign Luiz or we don't.
Yeah.
And even if we sign him, there are still going to be sections of the fan base that are going to be, disappointed. But there are going to be sections of the fan base that are going to have a complete meltdown and, talk about, Edu and Mikel out, etc., etc., etc. And there are going to be other sections of the fan base that are going to be absolutely fine with it, have absolute trust in obviously what the club are doing moving forward, etc., etc. But just realistically, like in terms of the window, what you've seen in terms of our ins and our outs, regardless of tonight's deal or whatever, what would you rate it? You can give it a rating out of 10, or you can just summarize it in one word. But just talk to me about maybe. So obviously, let us know what your thoughts are on the window with either a number or word.
Yeah.
But also just some key ins and outs and how the window's gone for you personally.
So I'll give you a number. I think it's been a really excellent window, actually. I think I'll give it a solid 8, maybe just under a 9. The only thing that really concerns me is we've said this in our WhatsApp group as well. With Jesus, obviously the big centre forward that we wanted, has come in. He's hit the ground running, and I've got to say the display against Leicester in particular was absolutely phenomenal. He's doing such a job for the team as well. He's always looked busy. He really got a bit of a kick in the last game. That was the Fulham game when I was covering that. I've literally seen about 3 minutes of the Villa game, to be quite honest with you guys, because I was at hospital last night. But I have seen the goals and bits and pieces. But if Jesus does pick up a knock, yes, we've got my boy Eddie that everybody knows on the channel here. Everybody over there on the chat will know that I really rate Eddie, but he can't do it all on his own. He's going to need some support. So I think we're probably a striker short. Look, I really I love Zinchenko. I love everything about that guy, even if he's not on the pitch. You see what he's doing on the sideline just makes me laugh. He's throwing himself into the red colours, and I'm loving every bit of it. That's probably the main. Obviously, we're talking about the younger players as well. Haven't even featured yet, but they're still well integrated with the group. You can see how passionate they are with the club already. There's Stephen put up a picture on the on Twitter, didn't he? On the for the winning goal, and see how together everyone is. That's great. And we definitely needed a keeper, obviously an experienced-ish sort of keeper, with Leno going over to Craven Cottage. So he might even get a run out on Sunday.
We'll see. I think Ramsdale, thankfully, is okay. So
I hope so, crossed. Mate.
I heard somebody say that was actually tactical, because when he went when
So,
he went, yeah, when he went down, like Arteta basically regrouped the squad and just kind of
yeah.
had a little word with him. So yeah, hopefully that's all it was. And if it is, then brilliant. I'm all for that. I'll come to you, Brendan, on this one. So, like I said, I think we're all gonna have thoughts and feelings on the back of this one day,
Yeah.
because that's what we will do. We're all human. We will reflect on today's events, but it's important to look at the window as a whole. So the window as a whole, in terms of ins and outs, how do you rate Arsenal's business, and what would you say would be maybe the highlights, or maybe the criticisms you could probably direct to the club?
You know what? For me, it's an 8 out of 10 so far. And if we get Lewis in, I
Mm,
would then say 8.5. And the reason being is because I would say it's a 10 out of 10 window if we had got another winger
yeah,
as well as and another centre forward, because I also wanted a big centre forward, like a
yeah,
target man, you
mm,
know. And we've had it before. The reason being is because with Gabriel Jesus and Eddie Ketia, you never know. I'm not wishing it upon them because I like both of them. I rate both of them, but I'm just with regards to injuries.
mm,
You know what I mean? Because normally with us, it's like whenever we get an injury, say in centre midfield, it comes in twos.
yeah.
You know what
We
I
just
mean?
get
Or,
screwed. Yeah,
yeah, or a few years ago, all our fullbacks were injured, and we were
yeah,
playing four centre halves across that back four. It's
yeah.
things like that. So it's
Mm,
it's, it's like it's like Noah's Ark. They come in two by two.
it
You
literally
know what I
is.
mean?
It literally is.
And this is the thing with Arsenal, because I just have this feeling that because Jesus he's getting kicked about, and he's dealing with it,
Hmm.
because he's come out of some really good battles in recent weeks, and I'm thinking if he ends up taking a knock, or if he's out for like maybe 3 weeks or so, then obviously Eddie can come in regardless of who we're playing against. But then with Eddie, it'd be a case of who's next, Martinelli.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, I still think to have three three forwards for me is ideal. I know we don't play the 4-4-2 anymore, because
Hmm.
back in the day 4-4-2 used to have 4 or 5 strikers.
Mm,
Or like, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's I would it would have been 10 out of 10 for me if we'd had got another winger. Um, central midfield we're gonna get anyway, hopefully. We're
hopefully, fingers crossed.
hopefully, but we still need another winger as well, because you know Bukayo Saka. I don't want him to suffer. I don't want him to suffer a burnout like he did
Mm,
towards the end of the season. So
mm,
and is and Marquinhos and Vieira. I think they're well. Marquinhos not too sure about, but I know Vieira has played first team football at Porto. So
mm.
I would love to see him at some point.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I'm not talking Carabao Cup games or Europa League. I'd
Mm,
like to see him
mm,
even get if he's, for example, even get minutes in a Premier League game. I'd like to see him
mm.
show us what he could do, really. You know what I mean? Because we need competition in all areas, and yeah, but yeah, 8 out of 10 for me.
8 out of 10. 8 out of 10. Okay, so obviously Lee was saying, it's an excellent window. It's pretty strong up there. Brendan, kind of feeling the same. Bobby, talk to me. Where would you rate this window? And what have been your highlights? And if any, what could we have potentially done better in terms of incomings or outgoings?
I actually pretty much agree with everything that Brendan just said there. I think the window was an 8.5.
Yeah,
The type of player that I thought that we needed as well was a big forward. Me and you have spoke about
yeah.
this.
Hmm.
I thought we needed a different profile of forward, not because of the injury situation, but more because of the game, like against Fulham when
Yeah.
I thought we could have if we could have had like we could have brought on a Patrick Schick or an Osimhen and stuck Jesus out wide, and then gone a bit more direct.
Yep.
A different option. And then I think if we had that big striker, then we'd have had double cover for Saka, because then Jesus could have gone to the right, or ESR could have gone to the right, Marquinhos, we would have had enough. So yeah, there's that. But yeah, the window in general for me, I think, has been a massive success, and it's been one of the things that you've been pointing out the whole way through, in the form of your list.
Yeah. The list that I tweet out every time we sell a player.
But, but you think about it, G, that list, a lot of people at the beginning, when you first put out that list, were saying things like, we'll be happy if we get rid of 3 or 4 of them.
They laughed at me,
They were laughing.
They laughed at me, They were telling me, take this down, you're wasting your time, club ain't going to do it,
Every single name on that list has gone.
Yep.
Which for me is absolutely fantastic work from Edu. Now, if you look at our squad at the beginning of the window and look at the squad at the end of the window, it looks like a totally different squad. Every single player now looks like they've got a place. Every single player now looks worthy of their job. Even Holding, we know what his role is in this squad. He's happy with that role. He's come on and he's done that role 3 times already this season.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I'm really happy with the window, and the other thing that I'm really happy about is that the weapons that we added, all winners. Saliba's come back and looked like a new player. We got them all in early. All of them were on the tour and played minutes, and I think that has helped our early season form. So yeah, I genuinely am not that fussed whether we sign somebody else now, because I look at the group, I look at the togetherness, I look at the roles of every single one in there. Like everyone was saying that they wanted Zinchenko to come in when Partey was injured, and I was like, no, because that's going to upset Lokonga. That's Lokonga's role. If he's part of the squad and he's seen Zinchenko come from left back and playing defensive midfield where he should be playing, what good is that going to be for his morale? And he's come in against Aston Villa. I wouldn't say it was a must-win game, but it was a pressure point because he didn't look out of place, did he? So
no, he didn't. He played brilliantly well.
Yeah, so that for me says a lot about the group that we've created now. We've got rid of some good players, but we've also got rid of some really bad ones. But we've also got the right characters in there. The squad looks great, and I don't want to just add people to it just for the sake of it. I want to add someone to it that, as we've heard Mikel and Edu say, is going to be part of our long-term project and is going to add value to us long-term. So yeah, man, I'm happy with the window. I agree with Brendan. It's an 8 for me. I'm happy with our defence. I'm happy with our midfield. I could have just done with a different type of forward.
No, definitely. And I'm just literally looking at that list as you were speaking there. We've got Leno off to Fulham, Okonkwo to Crew Alexandra, Renarson to Alan Jesper, Bellerin to Barcelona, Tavares to Marseille, Mari to Monza, Patino to Blackpool, Ainsley to Southampton, Torreira to Galatasaray, Pepe to Nice, Balogun to Reims, and you can also include the likes of obviously Laka left on a free, as well as obviously players like Aziz, who's obviously recently joined today, the club of Ibiza. So yeah, I mean, like just in that list alone, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11 players in that list. And it was because Bobby was right. When I first posted that list, I think I literally had maybe one tick. I think it might have been one player that had left, and the tweet was ridiculed. It was. I had so many people comment on it saying,
I remember.
yeah, get it off. What is he doing on there? What's that person doing on there? They're not going to leave. We're never going to sell them. We're never going to move them on. And I just kept retweeting it. I just kept ignoring people and I just kept retweeting it. And the ones that I couldn't be bothered to get into it with, I just put a thumbs up because I just can't get into it with you. And they've all gone, So I do think, there's been excellent business done in terms of the outgoings. And I think, some fans will criticize and say that, some of the fees or the termination of contracts or the loans should have been perms. But I think looking at that list of players, I would disagree quite, quite a lot in terms of that, because I think a lot of the players that we have let go on a free, either because of their contract or we terminated, we've been put in the really, really difficult positions. Because Lacazette, at the end of the day, people will say, "Oh, we didn't get a fee, we let him leave the club," but nobody wanted him. These are the same fans that blasted the guy and insulted the guy all season. So it's like, what do you expect the club to do? The same fans that criticized us for letting Lacazette go, criticizes us for getting Eddie down on a long-term contract. So it's like you can't really win sometimes with fans. And then you look at the likes of Leno, to Fulham. Some people might say that was a really bad deal in terms of the fee, but he hadn't played football for a whole season. So it's like I think sometimes there is context. Even most recently, we're going to move on to this shortly. Bellerin, who I must say I've never massively rated him as a player, but I've always kind of liked him as a person. For the first time, I just went off him because I just feel like this guy, he's an Arsenal player and he literally blocked every single potential buy-in move out of the club. To the point where, yes, Stephen, good evening. I'm just going to finish what I'm saying and we'll do welcomes. But yeah, Bellerin, he literally just prevented and blocked every single potential permanent move out of the club because he wanted to leave on a free. To the point where he had to, he forced Arsenal's hand. We either had to terminate his contract or basically pay him his wages for the next, however long this season or however long it was. So I do think that when we look at the outgoings, we do need to add context. Too many fans look at it and just think, "Oh, he went for peanuts. He went for peanuts. He went for peanuts. He went for nothing." Like, come on, like, let's be real. A lot of these players that we're getting rid of, yeah, they're not even, they're not even Edu and Mikel Arteta players. Do you know what I mean? So they're bang average players that have been put on massive contracts, and we're going to struggle to get rid of them. In terms of the incomings, I think we started the window phenomenally well, and I think we were all relieved at the fact that we got our key targets in. We didn't pay astronomical prices for them. We brought in experience, we brought in quality, we brought in winners. If you look at Saliba, he didn't win a trophy at Marseille, but he had a very successful season. He led them to Champions League football. He literally didn't even really put a foot wrong in that season. You look at Vieira, league winner at Porto. Jesus, Zinchenko, Marquinhos, obviously a young prospect from Brazil, but we've definitely added quality. I would go as far as to say I think we needed to add more. And I've always said that I think my ideal end to the window would have been 3 more, and that would have been a winger, and that would have been more to support Saka in that right-hand side role. It also would have been a CM, a centre mid or a DM, one of the two, and it would have also been a left centre back, because me personally, long term, I would look to replace Holding. I know he has a role. We've seen what his role is, but I do think the other 3 are levels above him in terms of the way we play and the way we want to play. But at the same time, it's a 25-man squad and we all need a Holding in there. That's for sure. We can't all have starters. We can't all have ball playing, defenders. Every squad needs a Holding. So I think on the whole, I think it's been a good window. I would definitely give it a strong, I would say 7 out of 10. And the reason why I say 7 out of 10, that doesn't mean some people might hear 7 and think, "Oh, you're being negative." I'm not. Because most of the windows Arsenal have done, since I can remember, wouldn't even scrape a 5. So I think it's been a very, very strong window. But I do feel that we've left ourselves slightly short in certain areas. And I just hope, we're not found out. Because as Brendan said, we always seem to get absolutely buggered with injuries, and we're only 5 games in and we've already lost 2 midfield options. It seems like it started already, and that does concern me. But yeah, on the whole, it's been a good window. I've been happy with the ins, I've been happy with the outs, but I would have liked at least a couple more to come in. Stephen, we'll come to you. Welcome. Nice to have you. How you doing, bro?
How are you?
All good, mate.
Sorry, I'm just kind of keeping track of all the transfer gossip here at the same time. Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How's everybody on the panel tonight?
Yeah, all good.
Good, man. Good. We've gone through a couple of things. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the chat, go through the comments, and then I'm going to track back and just briefly go over the last kind of couple of things that we've done with the other guys, and then we'll move on to the next talking point. So
All
we've
right.
got Jamie here saying, seen the tweets that Villa forget themselves. Little complaint from us, which yeah. Oh, little compliant from us with Chambers and Martinez joining them. And we've got through probably backlash over the ESR snub. That's you, Stephen. Okay, so the third bid has gone in for Louise.
Wasn't me. That was Lee.
Oh, is it gone in? Okay, I don't know if it's gone in at all.
There's
but
various rumours as whether it's gone
Yeah.
in or not. Some
It's
people are saying
very,
it has, some are
very
saying it hasn't.
conflicting, isn't it? Yeah, at the moment, it's just so contrasting at the moment. Jamie, apparently over 30 players out, loans, perms, huge change, 100%. So we'll track back a little bit to obviously give you a chance, Stephen, to kind of, and we've only gone through 2 talking points. So we'll go back to obviously Douglas Luiz. Thoughts on will this deal get done, and thoughts on the player as a whole?
Thoughts on whether it's not looking likely at this point, is it? I mean, we've what, less than an hour and a half of the window. That said, you look back all them years ago, 11 years ago now, isn't it? When we signed Arteta on deadline day with an hour to go.
Indeed,
Yeah.
yeah.
So, it could be another one of those, but, I just can't see it. Whether I would have wanted him, I remember us talking about him in January. We were linked with him then. And we said then, we would take him. So I don't see why it's any different now. I was obviously watching a bit of this earlier on while I was getting the kids to bed, and I heard you saying about what's our plan B. I think the thing is that Douglas Luiz was our plan B.
Yeah.
I think it looks very much like they've tried to get Danilo in from Palmeiras, but they couldn't get that done. So they've moved on to Douglas Luiz, and Villa are playing hardball. So it's disappointing because, as you said, I think we're a little bit short. Yeah. But then, this wasn't something we could foresee. We were going into this last day of the window sort of thinking, well, we need a winger and we need a central midfielder, not a sort of defensive midfielder. And then obviously we couldn't foresee that Partey was, well, you probably could foresee that Partey was going to get injured, but you couldn't foresee that. You couldn't see that Elneny was going to get injured. So
I think we were all waiting until at least 3/4 the way through the season for Partey to get injured.
Yeah, well, for a second major injury of the season, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I would have liked him. I think he's a decent player. I think he would have been a good addition to the squad. They're talking, the personal terms are sort of agreed if they get a deal done. It's a 5-year deal. Now, when you consider we could potentially get Danilo in January,
yep.
Do you want to be spending 25 million and giving Douglas Luiz a 5-year deal?
Well, this is it.
I know he's got the Premiership experience, and I know a lot of people sort of really buy into that. And I've said before, I don't necessarily buy into the whole Premier League proven thing, because we've seen it. There's a lot of players have been Premier League proven and moved clubs and have done nothing at their new club. You look at Fernando Torres, you look at Alexis Sanchez, players like that, who've gone for big money and done nothing when they've moved. Yeah. So I don't really necessarily buy into the Premier League proven thing. But I do like the looks of Danilo. I think he looks like a really top player. So it's difficult that, I think we've loaned out Niles, Niles, who potentially could have covered. Yeah. And we've loaned out Aziz tonight as well, who's off to, I think as you said, to Ibiza for a holiday for a year. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm worried that we're going to have to play Sambi there, game after game after game. The other option is, you get Xhaka to drop back in, but I think, Xhaka has proved it's not his natural position.
And he's doing well where he is.
Yeah,
you don't really want to switch it up.
Being that wee bit further forward.
Yeah.
I think dropping him back could be a negative.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
I think you've got to give Sambi the chance, but then at the same time, in pre-season, Sambi wasn't playing there. He was playing that slightly bit further forward as well, and he was doing a lot better. So again, is he really naturally a defensive midfielder? So do you know what? It's a tough one. I think we could pay the price for not getting someone in today.
Yeah, well, just on that note, Orny has just tweeted that a third bid has gone in for Luiz. Arsenal understood to have made a third offer for Douglas Luiz. Latest proposal said to be 25 million. Aston Villa adamant he's not leaving. 24-year-old did a Villa recovery session today and has been in Birmingham this evening. Arsenal are still pushing.
I think one of the points. I think
maybe still some life in that deal yet.
One of the biggest points as well, what we got to think of with the midfielder thing, especially with the Danilo, because as Stephen said, it does seem that we're interested in him. I think that even if we did get Danilo and we got Douglas Luiz, and we put them both on 5-year deals because of their age. I mean, Douglas Luiz is only 23 or 24, and Danilo's only 22. So when you look at Al Nene, he's only got a year. He's only signed an extra year, hasn't he? So he'll be gone at the end of this season. Xhaka, really, we're not looking at him as he's going to be a long term. He's kind of like for now, isn't he? And maybe next couple of years he's going to be looking to go as well. And it already looks to me like Thomas Partey's a failed transfer because we can't rely on him. Yeah. So
since he's been at the club, he's only been available for 58% of our matches.
Well, that's it. He's not reliable. So if we was to get Douglas Luiz, say, today and get Danilo in January, I think them two automatically straight away go ahead of Thomas Partey and Arnelli, because then Arnelli will be gone at the end of the season anyway. And Thomas Partey will probably become a backup player because he can't be relied on. Pretty much the same way that Kieran Tierney will probably end up losing his place to Zinchenko because he can't play 5 games without getting injured either. So I think in the club's long-term strategy, players like Danilo and Douglas Luiz fit what we're buying more so than the players that we probably got in Partey, Nelly and Xhaka. So I think that we could actually do the two. And
I think realistically, Luiz needs to hand in a transfer request at this point.
No, he
the only way to get this done is him handing the transfer request. So Bobby, you need to get in the car and shit down the road there.
Yeah, do you know what I'm saying? He's in your ends, bro, man. What's going on? Why are you here, bro? You should be dead. Go there with a couple of the man them, yeah? Say, yo, listen, free Luiz.
Apparently there's already a van outside his house in
there. Brilliant. We'll go to a couple of comments. Neil here, my man there, all the way from Trini. Luiz's agent is pushing for this move to happen. This is what's circling at the moment. And we've got Jose Acado. Sorry if I pronounced that wrong. That sounds like a new name. Welcome to the channel. If you're not new, apologies, but it does seem like a new name. Welcome to the channel. If you haven't already, do please like the stream and do please subscribe to the channel. Let us know how you're doing and where you're from. Neil also saying Arsenal are still in negotiations as Fabrizio, and Orny. So negotiations are still going on, but I mean, they're cutting it fine at this point. The last thing we'll come to you, Stephen, on before we move on, is just quickly, rate the window out of a number out of 10 or one word, and just give me a brief summary of the highlights in terms of ins and outs, and if there is anything you could criticize the club about handling this window.
Do you know what? I think it's probably already been covered, but we started off really well, and it looked really promising in terms of getting players in. I've said all along, if you look at the players, with the exception of maybe of Jesus, you look at Zinchenko and you think, all right, decent player, but does he really excite you that much? Probably not. You look at Vieira and you think, decent youngster coming through, but again, does he really excite you that much? Probably not, because let's be honest, most of us didn't really know who he was or what he was about.
Yeah.
Marquinhos, an 18, 19-year-old Brazilian kid, again, nobody had any idea who he was. So again, you're kind of going, not that excited about it. And who else did we get?
Turner.
Turner, sorry, was the other one. Yeah, you
Yeah.
kind of go, American goalkeeper. Again, is he really, really that good? So you kind of look at it and you go, well, overall, it's not, as individuals, apart from Jesus, nothing there really stands out and excites you. But you look at them, and I've said this before, you look at the depth all of a sudden within positions, and you're going, actually, hold on. All of a sudden, it's a stronger squad. And I know I've said this before, and I'll say it again. For me, it was always about raising the floor rather than raising the ceiling.
Yeah.
And we need to have a better base level of players and not worry so much about getting in these top end players. It would have been nice to get, another player on sort of Jesus's level, that sort of star power player. But if we didn't get it, I wasn't overly fussed. But I still think we're a couple of players short.
Yeah.
For this season. I think overall we're still probably 5 players away from having the squad that we really need. I still think there's a couple of changes in there. In terms of outgoings, we got rid of everybody that needed to get out.
Yeah, we did.
Couple of things. I mean, you touched on the Bellerin thing, and obviously everything you were saying was pretty much the conversation you and I had when I was in the car earlier on. And I've lost a lot of respect for Bellerin. He mugged us off all summer that he just wanted to go back to Betis.
Yep.
He has cost the club money ultimately. And I've seen a lot of people on Twitter tonight going about how it's so good that he's not taking any of his any money owed to him and stuff. And it's like, well, no, it's not that good, because we could have had 7, 8, 9, 10 million for you, from an Italian club. But because you wanted to go to Betis,
100%,
we terminated your contract in the end to let you go, and you've gone to Barcelona.
100%. I told you earlier, Steve, when we spoke on the phone, I've literally spent today, unfollowing people because of some of their tweets with regards to Aubameyang, with regards to Bellerin, and I just don't get it. They got fans that are siding with some of these players that have literally just held us to ransom, with regards like moves out of the club and just forcing our hand and making life difficult. If you was that low to the club and you loved the club that much, you would have teams that come in and showed interest at taking Bellerin on a perm move, coughing up money. You would have spoken to those clubs. You would have considered those potential moves, but you didn't. You had no interest whatsoever until it got to the point where Arsenal just said, "Well, look, we've waited long enough. We're gonna have to just terminate his contract." So, I completely agree with you on that one. We've spoken on this channel a lot about obviously the likes of Bellerin, the likes of Ainsley, the likes of Aziz, and I know this is a topic, Brendan, that you've probably spoken about a lot about on other channels, but not so much on this channel because obviously tonight is your debut. So I'm not going to go to all the rest of the guys on this one because they're probably fed up of speaking about these players on our channel, and you probably are fed up. But seeing as you're here, we want to hear what you have to say. So obviously Ainsley is left, and that's been confirmed. He's joined Southampton on a 1-year loan. We've also got Bellerin. It's not been confirmed by Arsenal as far as I'm aware, unless it's happened since we've been on air. But he's had his contract terminated. And obviously Aziz has since joined Club Ibiza. So just give me your thoughts on each of these players and, how you're feeling about, their moves out of the club.
Well, I'll go with Aziz first because I'd only watched him like under 23s and a few times, and I was quite impressed with him, with the lad. And I thought, it's only a matter of time before he gets into the first team. I'd probably say like maybe next season he'd feature a little bit more. I didn't think it'd be this season. So the fact that he's gone to Ibiza and hopefully myself and the missus will probably see him out there next year and party and all that. You know what I mean? That'd be great. But all jokes aside, I wish him all the best. And I think because obviously we the fact that, forget injuries for a minute, he's way down the pecking order when everyone's fit as well. So, Hector Bellerin, well,
where'd you start?
I don't think he's, all I can say, I don't think he was the same player he was a few years ago when he had that pace.
Yeah.
And from the injuries and everything else, for me, just wasn't the same player. And over the last 4 years or so, it seems like the only good games he had were he always seemed to turn up against Chelsea, home or away.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it's just I thought when I read that he was going on a free at Barcelona, I was thinking, okay. But I thought, Betis wanted him. I thought he was going back to Betis. You know what I mean? It was
That's
like,
that's what we all thought, didn't we? Yeah.
you know, but it's not easy. It's not easy getting rid of players that are on top wages as well, decent wages, because they refuse
Yeah.
to take pay cuts,
Hmm.
and that happened years ago under Arsene Wenger with
Hmm.
Nicholas Bentner, Johan Giroud, for example, Denilson. They were on some serious money, and they wouldn't take pay cuts,
Yeah.
and so they ended up going out on loan.
And you know what? Just to stop you there before you get onto Ainsley, and to
Mm.
be fair, if we were to take our Arsenal hat off, our supporters hat off, do you blame them? Because it's like me and Stephen were having this conversation earlier, and it was like I'm in my current job now. If my employer decide that I'm surplus to requirements. They want to replace me, but I'm under contract, and yet there is a rival company that want to take me on, but they can only say I'm on 35K. They can only pay me 32. Why on
Yeah,
earth am I taking that job opportunity? So I think
yeah,
sometimes as
that's
fans, I
true.
think we are biased
Yeah,
because obviously we're looking at it from a supporter's perspective, but
yeah,
at the end of the day, these guys it's a job for them.
yeah.
It frustrates us because we just want our squad to just be perfect, get ready, win titles, Champions Leagues,
Of
but
course.
ultimately they still want to earn a living and they don't want to actually accept a pay cut. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. But yeah, continue.
No
Sorry.
worries, man. Yeah, so and yeah, just good luck to him. So I just wish him all the best. But Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Now, the reason why I'm coming to him last is because I'm a fan of Ainsley. I'm a big fan of his,
Mm,
and I know from as a youngster, central midfielder, but then under Emery, um, he was brilliant
yeah,
at right back, wing back. He was fantastic,
yeah,
and I was impressed with his performances. And then I think didn't he come out and say something about how he'd prefer to play in midfield?
yeah,
And I'm like, at the end of the day, when you're playing for the Arsenal, man, I'm playing goal, and I'm not even a
yeah,
goalkeeper. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
So, and for me, it was just his attitude.
Mm,
It was his attitude I didn't like as well. I rate him as a player, but I just
mm,
thought his attitude, even in pre-season, he didn't look like he was really feeling it really when I
yeah.
pre-season like he wasn't he couldn't be asked. So
Mm,
I think he'll do well at Southampton. I'm sure he'll be playing regularly, but I just look at it now thinking, in hindsight, thinking if we're not going to get Louise in,
mm.
well, we could have had someone else that could have played in centre mid. And I know he had a really good game versus Watford last season in centre mid. So yeah, I'm a fan, but I question his attitude.
Yeah.
So,
Definitely.
yeah.
No, thank you for that. Thank you for your thoughts on those three players. And just an update from Jack Rosser, football reporter from The Sun. Update is Arsenal's third bid for Louise has been rejected too. So that's a 25 million bid that's
Oh,
gone in for Louise. And just obviously, let's talk about this because I want to get you lot's thoughts. This player has come out to the club, according to reports, and said he doesn't want to play for Aston Villa and he wants to move to Arsenal. Even so much so that rumors are that he's um, rejected a move to Liverpool because of his desire to play for Arsenal. Which, because of the Brazilian contingent, I'm not surprised by that.
Mm.
And if you look at the start Liverpool have made, I honestly don't feel like they're going to be the force they were. A couple of seasons, how strong they have been. Um, but secondly, the guy's out of contract in 2023. So I'm finding it baffling because, just and feel free, whoever wants to go first. This guy in a normal window for me would be maybe a 40 million pound player max, in my opinion. And that's with, 3, 4, 5 years on his contract. He's in great form. I would say he's about a 45, maybe 40 to 50 million pound player. And with less than a year left of his contract, he doesn't want to play for the club. You've got ample midfield options. You turn down 25 million on transfer deadline day. Someone please make this make sense. Whoever, just jump in. What are your thoughts? Why are Aston Villa rejecting our bids of 25 million for a player that don't want to be there and who's out of contract in the summer?
I think it's bitterness between everything that's happened previously.
Really?
I think so.
Business is business, though, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
I don't think I don't think it is. I think it's more to do with these guys. I mean, you got to remember, Villa are very, very rich. They got very rich owners now, very much like us. If you've noticed, this new regime with us, we're kind of like being very staunch on how we get rid of players, and we're saying you're only going on our terms. And Villa are kind of doing the same thing. They did it with Grealish, didn't they? They didn't let him go. And they
100 million, bro.
Exactly. So the 100 million, we don't need the money. They're still going out and buying other players because they can do that. Since these new owners have come in, they've spent a lot of money, haven't they? The Villa owners. So they're just showing their hand. I think I don't think it's got anything to do with bad businesses between Arsenal or anything to do with Emil Smith Rowe, because we've got good relationship with them because of the Emi Martinez and Chambers deals. So, I don't think it's anything to do with that. I think it's more to do with them. They don't want to. He's their player. He's under contract, and they're not doing very well, are they? Let's face it. You know what I mean? So would they want to lose one of their best midfielders? Surely not.
But do you let an asset walk out the club for free? Like, surely at some point, I do take on board what you're saying, Bobby, about obviously at the end of the day, we're looking at 25 million, but 25 million for us is huge amounts. But obviously these guys, it could just be pocket change.
To them, it's probably not, because they'll be looking at the size of the contract as well. And don't forget, they didn't have to pay a penny for Kamara. They got him for free. So if they lose one for free, but they've added one for free, in a business sense, is it a loss? You don't know how they're looking at it.
I'll come to you, Brandon. Do you think we're going to go in again?
Yeah, I think so. Because like I said, we've only got two central midfielders right now.
So you reckon Arsenal will go and bid over 25 for him? Yeah,
I think they will. Okay. They'll have to go for it. I mean, just meet the asking bar. I mean, I would understand if they pulled out if it was saying if Villa was saying 50 million. You know what I mean? Even 45 million. But if it's 30 thereafter, just give it to him, man. Just give it to him. And I think, because I think with someone like Luiz, I think because of his age as well, and it's what Bobby was saying earlier on, touched on that.
It's a proper investment.
Long term, man, long term. You know what I mean? So I think they should.
Stephen, what are your thoughts on this rejected bid and whether an Arsenal or not will go back in again?
I'm just saying there just as well, Liverpool have confirmed that they've signed Arthur
Melo. Yeah, that's gone through.
Which sort of begs the question. There was another player that we've been heavily linked with that we could have had. Why aren't we going for these players? We could have taken him on loan for the season, and then addressed again sort of next summer, or looked at Danilo in January. And it shows that deals can be done like that, So, will we go back in with another bid? Honestly, I don't know how much more we can pay. Really.
Yeah.
25 million for a player who has 9 months left. I think one thing it does highlight, though, is that if we were willing to bid 25 million for him, we could have had Tielemans for the same or less money, and yet we didn't go for that. I know they don't play the same position.
I'm not too sure, though.
My point is that if we had that money sitting there to buy a midfielder, and we could have had Tielemans before, why had we never pulled the trigger on Tielemans? So
But who's to say Leicester would have accepted 25? Because I'm gobsmacked. Honestly, me personally, I'm gobsmacked that Villa are not accepting 25.
Who's to say we was even ever in for Tielemans?
Well, this is my point. My
Yeah.
point is, were we actually ever in for Tielemans? You know, someone who we've been
We
heavily
always
linked
said
with.
this, in the transfer talks. We always said it's always been like a media thing, and
Yeah.
Orny came out and said that we bid for Rafinha, and then Edu came out and said we never bid for Rafinha. He said that we just spoke to him.
Inquired, yeah.
No one knows what's going on, do they? No one knows who we're really interested in. No one knows who's on our list.
I don't know. I can't see us spending more than 25 million on a player that has 9 months left on his contract. And Villa are shooting themselves in the foot here because, I get he's one of their better players, but when they have signed Kamara and they've now signed, Dendonka today, they're going to have an unhappy player who's potentially going to end up as their third choice, could unsettle the dressing room, and it's more than likely it's already an unsettled dressing room.
We've heard reports. It's not a great place to be right now.
Already all fighting out there.
Gerrard kind of needs to take a leaf out of Arteta's book and get rid of anybody that's potentially a bad influence. We've seen that with Arteta as soon as he came in. He got rid of Ozil, Mustafi, Kalashnik. They all went. All these people. Socrates was another one. Anybody that wasn't 100% happy and 100% committed to the Arsenal, way was gone. And Gerrard's going to have a difficult situation because he's now got to find a way to get this player back into the squad, to get him back wanting to play for Aston Villa. And when he's got 9 months left and he hasn't got his transfer this time, there's no way he's signing a new contract.
No.
And he'll just be spending the season thinking, where am I going next summer?
It's funny because Alex Crook, TalkSport guy, I know not a lot of people have a lot of faith in him, but he's just tweeted a couple of seconds ago, big Douglas Luiz news next on TalkSport. So I don't know whether that's him. I don't know whether that's him being late on that the bid's been rejected. It might even be a blimmin' contract extension at this rate. Do you know what I mean?
They're just trying to get TalkSport.
They're trying to get the clicks in it. They know Arsenal. Yeah. They got Arsenal fans on strings right now, innit?
Transfer day, man. They do it every year.
So we'll have to wait and see what he tweets next. We've got our notifications on just in case. Lee, I'll come to you last. Obviously, everybody's kind of had their say on this, but yeah. On this rejected bid, make sense of it. Talk me through it. And do you think we're going to go in again?
Do you know? I do think there is life in it still, even still with 55 minutes to go.
Yeah.
I feel that maybe they are just sort of testing the water and see what money they can get because they know they've got to have an unhappy player on their books, and they know that we're in a bit of a predicament. We don't know the severity really yet because it doesn't sound great on both Thomas Partey and Mo, does it? But I want to just give Mo a bit of a shout out as well. Apparently he picked up this nasty injury during the Fulham match and just played on throughout the whole 90 minutes, and he actually had a pretty solid game. I was doing the live chat along. He actually was had a pretty decent sort of 6-7 out of 10 sort of game, and he did pretty good.
I think both Mo and Sambi, when they've been called upon to come in,
they've done phenomenally well.
And the Villa game, I think both have played really, really well. However, I know you've given him a little bit of big up. I did see sections of the Arsenal fan base saying that he was actually quite stupid for doing that. Where he was injured, he should have kind of gone off because in many ways he might even have made the injury worse. But yeah, do continue.
I'll carry on that very point. And me and my brother spoke about this on Desert Island Chat Along. So if you go way back into 1994 Cup Winners' Cup final, goodness knows how Dave Seaman, Tony Adams.
Sorry, Lee, you got the name of your own show wrong.
Desert Island Kickabout.
Yeah, you said Desert Island Chat Along.
Oh, is it?
Next time, please. Thank you so much.
Go on.
Got through that final with the goalkeeper who had no ribs intact and Tony Adams whose body was just broken.
Yeah.
So and this is a very, very old school approach of getting through matches and stuff. And do you know what? I think it's called taking one for the team myself.
I hear you. I hear
So
you.
I respect it.
I hear you. No problem. Just a bit of news that's coming in. Memphis Depay has confirmed that he'll be staying with Barcelona. So the potential move of him going to Chelsea is not happening. He's not following Aubameyang over
Nobody
to
cares,
London,
mate.
but he's actually staying. So that's that. So yeah, I think at this point we've kind of spoken about transfers, whatnot. We've been on air about an hour. I think it's about time we talk about some football. Obviously, if anything happens, I'm sure we'll find out one way or another. If it's not one of you, it'll be somebody in the chat. But we're going to talk about last night's game. Arsenal 2, Aston Villa 1. And yeah, what a game. What a game this was. I mean, we didn't exactly make it easy for ourselves. That's for sure. I'll come to you first, Brendan. What did you make of the performance last night against Villa?
That first half was the best first half I'd seen this season in terms of just our attacking threat. It was just wow. You know, I hadn't seen anything like that in a long time in that first half, and we should have been 5-0 up.
Yeah.
Should have been 5-0 up. And I've got to say, that strike from Martinelli, what a save from Martinez. But, wow, I mean, Bobby, you'd have seen that there live, man. I mean, I bet you must have thought that was going in.
Top corner, yeah. Right underneath it, yeah.
What a strike that was.
The whole move.
You know what I mean? And obviously, and I just thought everybody played well. I thought Bukayo Saka, he did okay, but we haven't seen him at his best yet this season.
Yeah.
But I think that will come. That will come. You know what I mean? That'll definitely come. And obviously Saliba as well. He just makes defending look so easy, and he's just so comfortable on the ball. I mean, Saliba is just something else. It's like he's basically running that defense now.
He is. It's like he's been there years, isn't it?
He's just incredible. I mean, I can't speak more highly of this guy, and also and Martinelli I thought did well last night. Grant Xhaka played well last night. Sambi I was impressed with, and Gabriel Jesus is just an absolute warrior. That guy fights and fights. He doesn't give up. He's a terrier. He never gives up in terms of his pressing. As well. So yeah, I weren't blaming anybody yesterday for the goal we conceded, but what I will finish on was that I just love the way we're so resilient in the way we just bounce back. It's basically it's happened every home game this season. If we're going to concede one, it'd be like, right, okay, give us 2-3 minutes and we'll put one in there.
Well, we showed that, didn't we?
Yeah,
we showed that particularly against Leicester when the game, every time Leicester got a goal and were coming into it, we basically went to the other end of the pitch and scored. And we showed it again. I'll be honest, I was absolutely gutted when they got the equalizer last night. Yeah, absolutely gutted. I actually, at that point, I was so angry, and I just thought, you know what, we've thrown this away. This game should have been dead and buried in the first half, and they've gone and got an equalizer. And I'm just thinking, at this rate, a draw would feel like a defeat. That's honestly how it felt at that point when they scored. So, yeah, when they went up the other end and put the ball in there, I just couldn't believe it that they did it again. Did it against Leicester, did it obviously against Villa. I'll come to you, Bobby, on something in particular I'm going to ask you about. Against Fulham, we were the dominant. Well, we've been the dominant side in all our fixtures. Against Fulham, we were very much the dominant side, and we scraped a 2-1. Against Villa, we were very much the dominant side, and again, we scraped a 2-1. Are you concerned at all at the fact that we're not being clinical in front of goal and we're scraping wins when really and truly both those games should have been at least 3-4, 5-0 or 5-1 wins? Are you concerned at all by the lack of, clinical finishing in front of goal?
Not at all, no, because those are the games that last season, the season before, the last 5 seasons, those are the games that we lose. This is the Premier League. It's never ever going to be an easy game, and you're not going to win every game 5-0. we are Arsenal, and we know that we want to play beautiful football and pop it off and all that kind of stuff, look beautiful. And at times, in every single one of those games, we've looked back to the old Invincible era, you know, where the ball's moving off 1 and 2 touch, it's all fluid. The amount of times we all get up off our seats in the stadium now in moves, it's amazing, you know, because that's what the team are now doing to us. And yet there is a little concern, because when we went to 1-1, and it happened obviously when we went 1-0 down in the Fulham game, there is a little bit of nerves, but because we're so relentless in our attack, and because we always keep going and we always keep on creating chances. I mean, if you look at the 2 goals, they weren't the clearest of chances, were they? Really, you know, Martinelli's volley. I thought that Martinez should have done better, but Cash was kind of in front of him, wasn't he? So he kind of blocked his view. And if you look at Cash was kind of playing Martinelli on side. He should have, if he'd come up a bit higher, he would have probably been blocked out the cross, because I didn't think the cross was the greatest one from Saka. And then obviously the first goal was just like kind of like a cross shot from Saka that really Martinez shouldn't have pushed out the way he did. And then Jesus was just really sharp in getting there. So, and then if you look at a lot of all the other chances, none of them are really like clear cut chances. It was just like we had a lot of pressure, you know, and so to say that I think we should have been 4 or 5, I'm not really sure, because I don't remember anything that was that clear cut in chances that we actually carved out. It was just a lot of pressure. We just had them hemmed in their box, in their half, pretty much the whole time. So yeah, it is a little bit of a concern, but the fact that we keep on winning,
we found a way,
we keep finding a way, which shows that this team have not only got quality, we've got character. We go a goal behind. We don't give up. We've still got faith in the way that we play football, because we don't start lumping long balls. We keep playing football in the way we playing the whole game, and we create chances, and the chance it comes, you know. So man, I was happy with the performance. Nice. The stadium's now rocking.
Yeah. I need to get down there, man. Trust me, bro.
Honestly, it's a different place now. Walking to the ground, in the ground, half time, before everything. It's just a different place. It's like a carnival atmosphere now for every single game. And you hear Mikel Arteta talk about it as well. He says, and Xhaka always posts about it. Martinelli was talking about it. The fans are helping, and they all keep on talking about the fans, but really it's them. They're the ones that are inspiring the fans, because football.
Yeah, it's a relationship, isn't it?
It's a relationship,
That's what it is. Yeah,
and you see the passion from the team, and it spills out. They don't stop singing. Normally, it's the away fans that sing non-stop, but the clock end don't stop singing, man. We've got this little new ultra section now. We've got this section of about 50 lads that all turn up in black t-shirts behind the goal. Have a look out for them in the clock end. One of them brings a big drum. And in the clock end, in the concourse before kickoff, they sing as you're going into block end. You can hear the singing, and they don't stop until kickoff, and then it doesn't stop for the whole game. You can probably hear it during the game. The drum does not stop going for the whole game, and it's created this wicked atmosphere in the clock end. But yeah, it was a great day yesterday. Great win, great 3 points. Yeah, man, I'm excited, man.
Wicked. I'm going to come to you, Stephen and Lee. Obviously, give me your thoughts on the performance, as Brandon and Bobby have. But I want either of you to touch on obviously one of the incidents. So I'll come to you, Stephen, on this one. So there were 2 incidents in the game, 2 real talking points, and I want you to kind of go through with me or with us your thoughts about the challenge Mings put on Saka in the penalty area, where it seemed to look like he'd picked him up and thrown him to the ground. So first of all, what are your thoughts on that incident? Was it a penalty? Was it not? And just your general thoughts on the performance, both good and bad.
I remember at the time I put out a tweet about it basically, being a WWE match.
Yeah, I saw that.
Doing an introduction to a WWE game or match. But you know what? The more I watch it back, the more I kind of think you've seen them given, but you've seen them not given.
Yeah.
And would it have been, if it had been the other end, would we have accepted it as conceding a penalty? that's the way I kind of look at it. Is that if that had been one of our defenders, we would have probably been going, "Oh, come on, it's not a penalty." So it's if you look at it that way, it would have been probably harsh. But I think at the same time, it wasn't even so much Tyrone Mings. It was the other defender grabbed the shirt first.
Yeah.
Which I had more of an issue with. Not so much what Mings was doing, because I kind of think that was more the problem. Was he was pulled back.
Yes, initially before the big challenge, he was.
And if he hadn't been pulled back, he would have been, he would have had a better chance of getting the shot away. So, that was more of an issue for me. Overall performance, it was a good performance. I did miss about 5-10 minutes of the second half. I missed Martinelli's goal. I haven't actually seen it yet. I haven't had a chance to watch it back. But I thought overall it was a decent performance. First half was good. We were really sharp in the first half. Second half seems to be the way. We sort of dipped off a bit. Eddie came on, and for the second game in a row, Eddie injected energy.
He did.
Into the team. And that's, I've been a big critic, as you know, of Eddie. I don't rate him. I still don't necessarily rate him, but I definitely think he brought energy. When we were starting to flag a wee bit, he picked up that energy. But I said to you earlier on, for me, I still think he needs replaced, because I'm worried at the minute. I don't think Eddie could hit a barn door with Banjo, to be honest with you.
You're not confident about his ability, are you? Yeah.
I don't really massively rate him. And I worry that if Jesus gets injured, I do think we're going to struggle. So I do think we're missing a goal scorer, and I think we really needed someone. I cannot get my head around why we didn't go for like Cody Gakpo, who could play anywhere across the front three.
Yeah,
I don't understand it. When we knew we needed another player. I mean, how long has Arteta said we are light up front?
Yeah.
And that was even when we had Pepe. He was saying we are light up front. We then went and let Pepe go on loan to Nice, and we haven't replaced him. So I do worry that we are light up front, and it's great. We're 5 for 5, but let's be honest. We all know we're not going to go 38 for 38. At some point,
you never know. You never know.
At some point, we're going to drop.
I hear you.
I just worry that we may struggle at times with firepower, especially against some of the top teams.
Yeah, it's a concern, definitely. It's definitely a concern. Lee, I'll come to you, but before I come to you, I need to bring in another guest for tonight's show who'll be joining us. Albert, good evening, Albert. How are you doing, my bro?
Long day, man, but that's for another day, man. It's good to see you, man. Thanks for the invite, man. Good to see the boys on.
No problem at all. Listen, we're going to come to you in a second. We're going to get your thoughts, because we're going to track back a little bit. I'm going to summarize and just get your views on the window and obviously the Fulham performance. But before we do that, I'm coming to you, Lee. The second incident that I want to kind of quiz you on is obviously, Aston Villa got back into the game completely against the run of play. With a very controversial moment, and that was obviously, the man himself, Douglas Luiz, the man that everybody's talking about right now, whipped in a corner after coming on as a sub, and it looked as though, Ramsdale was being impeded. Give me your opinion on whether or not you thought, one, obviously that goal should have stood, should have VAR overturned it, and just your general thoughts on the 2-1 Arsenal win over Aston Villa. You're on mute.
Oh, no.
You with us?
He's on mute.
I'm good. I'm here.
Yeah.
I've got the controls here, bud. Yeah, right.
No worries.
So, it's not the first time Luiz has done that from the corner, is it? So, I think I saw him do it in the Carabao Cup or something. And so, his delivery's great for the goal. Yeah, I don't think anyone was impeded there, to be honest. mind you, I've only seen the highlights on my very tiny phone screen when I was at the hospital last night. So I didn't see any problems with the VAR or anything like that for the goal.
Okay.
But for the overall performance, one thing I do want to bring up and the expected goals ratio and all that sort of stuff. Just I'm having a quick look through my phone here. It looks like Emi Martinez made 8 saves during the game, goal saving saves. So I would imagine, I think our goals expected was probably through the roof if it weren't for Emi. I think it very much we said about Arsenal started very brightly by the sounds of it. I don't think both our goals that we scored weren't the best, flashiest goals in the world, but they still count. Particularly, you know, I think especially the winning goal, the Martinelli one, was a bit of a bumble around, and yeah, Emi should have done better. But yeah, end of the day, to go, what's the word? All corny with it, you know, that they managed to respond and get there with that. That's probably my closing point on this. Actually, is how they managed to get back and manage to keep on coming back so regularly throughout the season after conceding goals. It's happened a few times, and they've not panicked as such. We had this in, you know, if you go back to the previous game, the Fulham game, we'd go behind in the game. So Arteta said, "All right, I'm not having this. I'm going to make a quick change. Bang, up comes Eddie for Tierney, and although it was a bit of a slog, we managed to get a win out of it. A win is a win. It's one of them where sometimes you wonder, would we have got this result otherwise in a previous time? Maybe not. But yeah, again, against a good Aston Villa side who are struggling on their results, I know that much.
Yeah.
But to manage to pull off the result, I was always confident of them winning it. To be honest, Arsenal, even after us get the notification about the 1-1, I'm pretty sure that they were going to keep do as they did on the Saturday, and thank goodness it wasn't as late as it could have been. Couldn't do with another one of them really late 87-minute ones. Yeah, just to mention, looks like the Luis thing is off.
Yeah, it looks like the deal is dead, but you never know. We'll still wait for some updates. But yeah, thank you for your thoughts on the game. Albert, I'm going to come to you. Now, we've been speaking about a lot on tonight's show because really and truly there's a lot to talk about. Even though there's been very little to happen, there's a lot to talk about. So I've kind of summarized it with this banner. So I want you to kind of just give me your thoughts on rating the window. You can give it a rating out of 10, or you can just summarize it in one word. And when I say rate the window, I don't want you to just, rate it. I want you to kind of give me your kind of pros, your cons, your goods, your bads, your ins, your outs, squad concerns, if any, and obviously generally the Villa performance from last night. So yeah, take your time. The stage is yours. The mic is yours. Off you go, my bro.
Yeah, in the short layman's terms, as I can put it, in terms of making a marketing window out of 10, even before today, I gave it a 7 out of 10. I think for me, people, what I notice with sections of the Arsenal fan base, my favorite word I like to use is I'm a big advocate of buying within the league. It doesn't have to be people. That doesn't have to be players that's English, because I just think it gives you an upper hand and less. It's easier for players to adapt to the league, because we keep hearing so many times how hard the league is, the pace of it, and it's the best league arguably in the world. That's fine, but I've always been a big advocate of that. So when people say, "Oh, why are people obsessed with buying within the league?" Well, my answer to that is, well, Jesus has played in the Premier League for a number of years. Zinchenko has. Ben White has. Not saying you can't buy players from other leagues, but for me, that's always been a key thing with Arsenal for years. So the links with Jesus, as I've said to you before, G, even privately, I didn't get our fan base with that. I didn't understand the reticence. I didn't understand the negativity. I didn't understand even the question marks. If you've watched Arsenal from a striking point of view in the last couple of years, what are you complaining about? What would be the hesitations about Gabriel Jesus? and all that rubbish about people got this thing that if a player's not a first team or a first 11 player in their side, then they surely can't be good enough.
Yeah.
There's a reason that's complete nonsense. Have you seen Man City's squad? No, like let's have it right with Jesus. If you watch football outside of just watching Arsenal alone in the Premier League, the boy can play.
Oh yeah,
The boy can play. He knows how to finish. Brilliant at pressing. Pep picked him in the big games. You know, that's no coincidence. City fans speak very highly of him. So to get him for the price we got him for absolute steal. And I think people have to remember with Jesus, especially, is a City he wasn't the main man. He's been told, I assume by Arteta, you come in here, you're the main man. You're the go-to man. You will be the number 9. Big difference to what he was at Man City, even though he did play in a lot of games or the big games. So with the Zinchenko move, that one surprised me, only in the sense of if you'd have said to me at the end of last season or the beginning of this season, if Zinchenko came to Arsenal, what would your feelings be? And I'd be like, I'd be on board for it, but it's one I didn't see coming. But you know, I think the good thing about Zinchenko is, yes, at City he played as he's predominantly left back, but for his national side he plays in a more advanced role.
Yeah, he
You
does.
can see he's an intelligent footballer. He has a very good footballing IQ. You can see he's added something to Arsenal. If you watch him at Man City, you look at the likes of Trent at Liverpool, Cancelo at City. They're not the old-fashioned hug the touchline fullbacks. They're not. They advance and give more options to the attacking part of the pitch. In regards to obviously Marquinhos, quickly, I don't know too much about him, so I can't give an expert opinion about him.
Yeah, I don't think any of us did really.
Yeah,
To be honest.
he probably will get a bit more game time for the simple fact that we got a lot more games this season because of being back in Europe. Matt Turner didn't really class as a signing, G, because let's be honest, we knew he was coming from January.
Yeah, it was announced in January. Yeah, so he had like a little welcome video on that.
Yeah. So and obviously the Fabio Vieira deal, again, I don't know too much about him, but from what I've been told of what people say, he is kind of similar to Martin Odegaard in that sense. So Martin Odegaard, although he's the captain, will be kept on his toes, which is what you want in terms of competition.
Which is what we want, yeah.
So yeah, like I said, I was a big advocate of buying within the league, and listen, we've got additions into the team that is the way that Arteta wants the team to play, and with these players in the side, it's no coincidence the football's a lot better than what I've seen at Arsenal for a long time, to be honest with you. Yes, for the Villa performance, I must admit, a big up to the fans who were there yesterday. Obviously, I was at the game, as you know. The atmosphere of that stadium, for the time I've been going there, is 100 times million better than it was been for recent years. A country mile, whether that be down to the Ashburn Army with their boys singing their songs. The Arsenal fans are very quick-witted in making songs about many players. Yeah. The atmosphere of the Emirates is fantastic. Yeah. And it's no coincidence, whether people like it or not. The time Mikel Arteta has been here, for whatever faults you feel he's got, it's no coincidence that the fact he's here and the relationship with the players and the fans, he's a big contributor to that. Let's be serious. Whether you want to make YouTube content coming out your ears talking about Edu and Arteta, listen, that's for another day, man. But Arsenal first half, they were excellent. I thought the football was brilliant to watch at times. We didn't let Villa get out of their own half. The likes of, they got good fullbacks in Matty Cash and Luca Dean, and we didn't let them out their half because the combination play between Martinelli and Gabriel and Jesus will get better. So that's something for us as Arsenal fans to look forward to. You can see it's coming well together. You've got the combination play.
Beautiful to watch.
With Saka and Odegaard. Saka was sharp for the first 10-15 minutes, in my own humble opinion. But, he's just got to find his feet a little bit. But Arsenal, I think the only injustice was that we went in half-time only 1-0 up. We almost got the second goal before the half-time break with that fantastic effort from Gabriel Martinelli. A great save, by the way, by Martinez, despite what people might think of him. But Villa were ultimately going to come out better in the second half. I wouldn't say they didn't completely make loads and loads of chances. Again, we've conceded a goal this season through mistakes.
Yeah.
Which Arteta will be furious about.
Yeah, we were talking. It's funny enough. Just stop. Yeah, we were talking. Me and Bobby would mention that a lot in the Twitter group we're in. Is that if you actually look at a lot of the goals um, that have been, that we've conceded, I think it's bar one. All of them have actually been errors, which
And
is
the
crazy.
Madison,
Defensively
the
we've been
Madison
really
goal,
good, but yeah, other than like the Madison goal, and some might even say that
so that
even that
Ramsdale
Ramsdale
should
could have
stay
done
back.
better.
Yeah.
But it's crazy to think that we're not conceding goals, but when we are conceding goals, they are goals that can be avoided. Like that says a lot for the way we are playing defensively. Yeah, continue.
Yeah, and then just touch on defensively. I think for me, what the key thing was, even going back to last season, is that get this defensive unit playing for a season, get the combinations, get the partnerships going, and that will
100%.
go into this season. Obviously, with Saliba coming back and Tomiyasu fitness wise back, and obviously fingers crossed Tierney. But yeah, listen, I thought the scoreline flattered Aston Villa, if I'm being totally honest with you. Again, I think one good thing about Arsenal this early part of the season, and I say early part for a specific reason before Arsenal fans start losing their minds, is that we're starting games better.
Yeah.
We're starting games a lot better. That wasn't the case last season or even for a couple of seasons. We're getting on the front foot. We're going into half times where we're actually a goal up or 2 goals up, thinking, we should have scored a few more, but that's better. That's coming up, and we will become more ruthless because we need to be. Irrespective of the opposition we're playing. So at the moment, yeah, it's encouraging to see like 5 wins out of 5. Best start in 18 years of Premier League season, I believe, maybe even more. So yeah, long may it continue.
Definitely. No, definitely. Thank you, man. Thank you for your thoughts, man. We'll jump to the comment section because we haven't been there for a while. We've got a couple of here. We've got Jamie saying Lee's like Nick Cannon, so many shows he can't remember the names. Laugh out loud. That was a while ago. Sam Wilson saying, yes, gang, how are you all doing? Time to move on from Louise and get on with the season. Yeah, we'll come to that in a second. Snapper Bread, hello everyone. Just seen on Sky Sports that Villa rejected the £25 million bid. And yeah, that's the last thing I'm going to ask you, Albert, before we move on to obviously United game, because everybody's kind of had their say on this Douglas Luiz deal. And there's been different opinions here in the panel. I personally am gobsmacked that a player who's out of contract in 2023, and who clearly doesn't want to be at the club, they've rejected 25 million for him on transfer deadline day, given the fact that they've signed a midfielder and he's not even potentially going to be in their first team, given not so much his quality, but obviously this whole saga that has happened across the last kind of 24 or 48 hours. What are your thoughts on the player himself, Louise? Because it looks as though the deal is dead, because the £25 million bid has been rejected. But what are your thoughts on the player himself, and obviously your thoughts on why Villa have rejected that deal?
I'm going to ask that in reverse. I find it odd because obviously Steven Gerrard's gone in there and has tried to stamp his authority. I don't think Villa fans are too pleased with it at the moment, and it's a weird one. You've got, like I said, like you mentioned, you've got a player within the last year who's obviously not part of the plan. Who's on the bench yesterday, and you get a good offer for him. To be honest with you, so I don't understand from a business point of view that if you know he's not going, if you know he doesn't want to be there, why would you let him go for a free? And what, you're going to turn around and say that you're keeping him for squad depth? Yeah. Really, to be honest with you, I mean, looking at Villa's makeup of the side, I would assume he would command a starting place in most weeks in their team. To be honest with you, unless Steven Gerrard's seen something in him and he said, you know what, like with Mings, he's not for me.
Yeah.
So that's crazy to me. But as for the player himself, he was linked to Arsenal quite a while ago, and what I find quite funny is, me personally, my favorite saying, fill up the petrol in my car, I'll drive there and bring him to the Emirates. I don't see any issue with bringing somebody. Again, this is what I don't understand with some Arsenal fans. I'm being honest. You might not like a certain player or whatever, but you could understand if he was a player that you hadn't seen play or he's playing in a different league.
Yeah,
he's been within this league. You must be able to see what qualities he would bring to the side, particularly the type of player that he is. So it's funny because what I find interesting sometimes as well is it's quite still related with Arsenal fans will watch certain players within the league, right? Praise them, rate them, they're fantastic, brilliant.
Yeah.
Love them at the red carpet. The minute they're linked to Arsenal, defensively he's poor. He's not good enough.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense, but you're happy to keep some of the players that you've already got here who haven't delivered. Make it make sense, bro. But for me personally, I didn't have a problem initially when the links were first kind of flying around maybe a season ago, whenever it was. I think what's clear to me, maybe I'm wrong, you guys might disagree, but when Arsenal weren't going to send Sambi out on loan, they give El Neni a contract year extension. Partey's had a proper pre-season and the season in him. Xhaka's not going anywhere. What it would tell me as a fan is you actually wasn't going to bring anybody else in the midfield area.
Yeah.
Because if you really wanted Tielemans to come to Arsenal haven't made a concrete bid for him.
No.
Unless, and I think it's quite plausible. If I thought, you know what, if he's whatever negotiations or talks have happened, there might be possibly an agreement that, you know what, we'll wait the 3 or 4 months, come for free,
tap him up, sort it out, and just get him for free.
Yeah. But with Luiz, I wouldn't have a problem with him coming to Arsenal. I think the main reason why Arsenal have gone for him, and it's no disrespect to Douglas Luiz, because you have to ask yourself the question: if it wasn't for the fact, if El Neni wasn't injured, and a couple of other injuries as well, in terms of Partey, the up and down, and would Arsenal have gone for Douglas Luiz? I don't think they would have.
No. We were talking about this earlier.
I generally don't think they would have done it.
We were talking about it. We were saying that if the El Neni injury and the Partey injury hadn't coincided at the same time, we just wouldn't have gone for him. We wouldn't even be having this conversation about Luiz. Definitely. No, it's good, man. It's really good to get your thoughts. And I think what's been really good about tonight is that a lot of us have had similar opinions, but there's been differences in terms of just like how we kind of have different outlooks on what's going on with regards to window, with regards to squad, with regards to performance. We're going to move on slightly at this point.
Can I go?
Oh, yes. Sorry, you did private chat me. No problem. You know what, Lee? Thank you so much for coming on. Obviously, have a great evening, and we'll catch up anyway. Do you know what I mean?
Cheers,
take it easy,
Thanks,
bro.
guys. Take it easy.
Have a good one. See you
Bye.
later.
Bye.
Take care.
Yeah, so we'll move on slightly because obviously at the moment it doesn't look like the Luiz deal is happening. It doesn't look like we're going to be bringing anybody else in this window, which I think for some it will be disappointing. I think for others it will be bothered. I think it just depends where you sit in terms of how you view the squad and how well you think we'll cope over the next, obviously, schedule between now and the World Cup and the next window. I think we pointed out earlier that, given the World Cup and stuff like that, there is only, 13 Premier League games, up to 20 games before the January window is open. So not a long way to go until we're back here again, wondering whether we'll get Luiz or Tielemans late in the transfer window. So I'm sure we'll be here soon enough. But we're going to move on to, obviously, which is a massive game. A massive game at the weekend. Does anybody know what the score was tonight between United and Leicester? Because I come online and
1-0. They won
1-0 to United. Okay, so they're on a little bit of a run. 3 points against Liverpool, where, to be honest, I have to be honest, I thought Liverpool were going to absolutely slap them all over the park, but they didn't. Liverpool are definitely not the machine they've been over the last couple of seasons. They also got, I think, a 1-0 win against Southampton, I believe it was, prior to this match. And now they've scraped a 1-0 win against Leicester. So I don't know how many points they're on. I don't know what league position they are, because obviously at the top we can't see where they are in the league table. So, it's not too much fuss. We're not really worried about United right now. But massive game, obviously, at Old Trafford. Never an easy place to go, as Liverpool found out. To most people's surprise. It's been a while since, obviously, you other guys have had a chance. So I'm going to come to you, Brandon, seeing as you are our guest. And we always like to give our guests an opportunity to speak first. How are you feeling, obviously, going into this game against Man United? We have a great opportunity to, make it 6-6, 18 points on the board, beat them in their backyard, You know, and given the form they're in and how things are going, you know, surely as an Arsenal fan, we've got to be as confident as we've ever been going into, you know, this match or this type of game at Old Trafford. So yeah, just give me your thoughts on obviously the game, how you see it going, where the game could be won or lost, who you think the key players are, whatever you're feeling with regards to this match, and also score prediction.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what, I'm looking forward to this game. It's going to be a different side to the one we played at Old Trafford. I mean, last season, where we wasn't as confident and the mentality was a bit shot. Whereas
Mm,
that's quite the opposite this season already. So I think we're going to go there with confidence,
yeah.
and our mentality is strong. Um, I think for me, obviously, with our midfield, it's most likely going to be Granit Xhaka and Sambi Lokonga. If the two of them have a good game, and we can, anytime we lose the ball, if we win it back in seconds,
Hmm.
if we press them hard and we play our game, we'll win the game.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's going to be easy,
Yeah.
but I think we can. I think we can win two. I think we'll win 2-1. I'm feeling very confident because now that it doesn't look as if we're going to be getting Douglas Lewis in. So if we can keep Sambi and Xhaka, if they can stay fit, no red cards, no suspensions
Hmm.
until like I said, Party Zinchenko come back, then I think we'll be okay
Mm,
in that regard. I'm just worried that we will get possible more injuries or even suspensions in midfield. That worries me.
mm.
But I think we've got an 11 on Sunday to deal with United personally.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear you. And it's funny because like obviously we've got the United game, and then I feel like between the United game, the next tricky game for me in terms of what I've seen on paper would be obviously the North London derby. I
Yeah.
think all the games between United and that match are very easily winnable.
Mm.
I'm not too worried about the Europa League games because I feel like that's just going to be an opportunity to give Eddie a run out, Marquinhos a run out, Vieira a run out. You know, we can massively rotate it, and apart from maybe PSV,
Yeah.
I think we could comfortably win those games. But
Mm.
even the league games, I think we've got like Everton in there somewhere and whoever else. I think we can be confident that we're going to win those games. So I think we really just got to go all gun ho with this match because it's going to be nothing sweeter than beating them at Old Trafford. But yeah, I'm not as confident. And I'll give my reasons later. But I'll come to you, Bobby, with this one. Um, how do you see this going? How are you feeling ahead of what is really and truly a massive game? Because when you think 5-5, we've made a fantastic start. Going to Old Trafford and getting beaten, you know, we've not seen how this team would potentially react yet from a defeat. And obviously losing to we class as our rivals, question marks will come. So as soon as we drop points, whether that be a draw, whether that be a loss, there are going to be massive question marks about the mentality of this side and how we're going to bounce back and so forth from fans, from pundits, media outlets, etc. But how are you feeling going into this game at Old Trafford on Sunday?
I'm feeling confident because of the way that we've been performing. I actually think that our away performances this season have been better than the ones at home. I think the Crystal Palace and the Bournemouth games, even though the fans create a massive atmosphere at the Emirates, I think that the team have a bit less pressure when they're playing away, and probably express themselves a little bit more. So yeah, I'm quietly confident that we're going to go up there and win and get a clean sheet. We haven't conceded away from home yet. I watched the Man U Leicester game tonight. They weren't great. They were good at keeping the ball, but they couldn't really break Leicester down. They didn't create a lot of chances. The goal was nice, but other than that, they didn't have a lot. And Leicester created them a lot of problems. I don't know if you saw me kind of like just
yeah, I did.
just because Leicester should have scored at least 3 goals. Madison had a couple of good chances. Justin right at the end in extra time should have squared it to Iniacho. We had a tap in.
Yeah.
So and I haven't seen a team be able to cope with our attack this season so far. I know that they say that we haven't had many tests, but nobody's beat Fulham this year apart from us.
Yeah.
And Fulham have played some good teams. So I think we're going to go up there, and I think we're going to do really well. It's going to be interesting to see who starts. I hope Odegaard's fit, because I think he's this season in how he presses and how he recycles possession, how he keeps the ball. He's key in our performances, man. So I want him to be fixed. I'm not sure whether Vieira's ready yet because he hasn't played minutes yet, and I know ESR is good, but he's totally different to Odegaard.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm really confident. The only little bit of slight negativity I've got is that we always lose when we go to Old Trafford when we're playing well and they're playing bad.
Even last season.
You remember last season?
It was the same last season.
I was there last season, and they were in a really poor run, and we were actually playing really well. And we went up there and we were poor. Well, we wasn't actually that poor. The referee didn't help us that day. We got a VAR penalty, but there was just something about it. The aura of Old Trafford. Sometimes our players kind of froze, I think, on the day. So I hope that don't happen now. I think Albert touched on it before, adding Jesus and Zinchenko, who are Premier League winners and regular players from this league, will add a little bit more nous to this group of players, and a little bit more confidence. And hopefully that stands us in good stead. This is one of the tests that we're waiting for, isn't it? To see where we're at.
I'm going to say that this is a test. It is a test.
It'll be interesting to see what the young boys at the back, because we've got a very young defence still.
Yeah, we do.
It's going to be interesting to see what they're going to be like up against. It's going to be a totally different test with different movement, because Sancho and their wingers move, and Bruno Fernandes is a problem when Ronaldo's not playing. So it's going to be a different test for us. So it's going to be interesting to see. But Albert touched on it already. I'm so confident in this team. I've seen an aura in this team that I haven't seen for years. Hence the reason why it's the first time I've got a season ticket in 15 years. I've been off them so much. I almost turned them down. This is the first one I've got, because I feel a connection to the team now. And I think we're going to go up there and win, lose or draw. We're going to have a really good performance that's going to make us proud. And that is what we've wanted now, isn't it? We've gone too many times. We've gone to these big teams and we've laid down and got absolutely piped over the last 10, 15 years.
We've lost the game before we've even gotten the pitch.
We've even started, but now we know we're actually we're there now. You know what I'm saying? And man, I'm quietly confident.
No problem. Give me a scoreline.
2-0.
2-0. Okay, so Brendan, you went 2-1, right? Bobby went 2-0. Okay. I'll come to you, Stephen. Talk to me about United. Old Trafford, massive game, Sunday, 4 p.m. kickoff. What are your thoughts?
Do you know what? I'm not as confident.
Okay. Tell me why.
2 reasons. One, Bobby touched on, which is, we always seem to lose whenever we were playing good football and they're playing crap football. And we always seem to go there and lose. So it goes with the pattern. The other thing as well is obviously they're going to have Anthony, their new 100 million euro striker winger playing, and he's going to be out to make a good debut. And it's set up. Martinez, who they're claiming that they beat us to the sound of Martinez. We didn't want to spend silly money on him.
There's a lot of potential scripts in it.
Yeah, there is. That said, I still think we're going to win, because as long as you've known me, have I ever said when we predicted scorelines that Arsenal would do anything but win?
Never.
I just don't predict anything other than Arsenal wins. So, we're still going to go and win, but I'm just not as confident. United got off to a bad start, but you look at it, they've won 3 in a row. They're coming back. They might not be playing well, but they're grinding out results. And they're only 6 points behind. Yeah, it's a good place to be. Would rather they're 6 points behind than 6 points ahead, but they're still in it, and there's a long, long way to go yet this season. And And I know we're talking about this match, but I do still think that, you know, the events of today will have a knock-on effect on the whole season. You know, not signing players today, I think, is going to cost us. We've talked about this before, and I know it probably sounds quite reactionary, but I still think we may struggle for top four, because I still think, you know, the likes of Liverpool, City, Chelsea, United, they're all coming back into it. Well, City have never been out of it. You know, City, I think, are going to end up running away with the league, but it's going to be tough.
It's a long season. It's a long season. And
yeah, and I don't, you know, after the first couple of games, I would have gone, yeah, we're going to hammer United, no worries at all. But they've ground out 3 results. You know, they found a way to win, and we're kind of the same. We found a way to win. It hasn't been quite as convincing the last couple of games. You know, it seems to have dropped off a little from that early season. You know, really on fire early season and end of pre-season. And it's dropped off a little, and I'm just a wee bit worried that, you know, is the bubble going to burst this weekend?
Well, it's going to burst at some point, because, like I said, you know, we can't we can't envision going the season unbeaten. And like I said, you know, as soon as we drop points, there's going to be a reaction. There's going to be a reaction within the fan base. There's going to be a reaction from media outlets, pundits, etc. And I've kind of just, you know, mentally prepared myself for it, because I think anything Arsenal does, there's always a huge, massive overreaction from everywhere and anywhere. So, you know, I'm not for a second thinking, you know, we're going to go the season unbeaten, and I'm not for a second thinking that we are going to mount a title challenge. My thing is, my target at the beginning of last season was top 6. And despite obviously it feeling, you know, somewhat disappointing that we didn't make top 4 because we were that close, I came to terms with a 5th place finish at the beginning of this season, just because the fact that, you know, Arteta's been there, Edu's been there, what we did, you know, last season, who we've brought in, who we've got rid of, the target has got to be top 4. Whether or not we achieve that or not, only time will tell. But for me, it's a realistic target. You know, I don't think we should be aiming for anything less. Obviously, we'll have to take things into context, how the season plays out, but really and truly, that's what I'm targeting. And I think a lot of Arsenal fans, realistically, that's what they would want to see as, you know, somewhat of an achievement. I think if we could pick up silverware, obviously, that's, you know, who's going to turn down silverware? You know, I think we've got a real chance at winning the Europa League. You know, the FA Cup is ours, so I wouldn't mind bringing that home again. And, you know, Carabao Cup, I don't think we should turn our nose up again, you know, to that. You know, a trophy is a trophy. You know, all these people saying, you know, it's a tin pot trophy. And you see how Liverpool, you know, celebrate when they won a Charity Shield. All of a sudden, when we used to win it, it was a tin pot trophy or tin foil trophy.
Yeah.
But when another club does, you know, all of a sudden it's a major trophy. So, you know, there's people say there's no agenda and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. I don't know what to believe, but sometimes it's very, what I see in terms of a narrative of, you know, in the media and stuff like that, it does feel like somewhat of, regardless of how well this season's going or gonna go, there's gonna be narratives, you know, from, like I said, pundits, media outlets, etc. You know, really and truly, right now, every single media outlet, pundit, radio station, television program, newspaper should be absolutely applauding what Arsenal have done at the beginning of the season, because there's not a single person that can say could envision us going 5 wins on the bounce and putting in the performances, because it's not just 5 wins. Every single game has been a dominant performance. Whether or not we've put the ball in the net as many times as we should, we've been the better team in all those 5 games against all those 5 opposition. But yet all you get is, are you celebrating too much? You know, all you're getting is you've not achieved nothing yet.
Did you see Jurgen Klopp? Did you see Jurgen Klopp last night?
Yeah, doing fist pumps, you know, in front of the home fans or whatever it is. Like it's just ridiculous. So it really gets on my nerves. It really, really does. I'll come to you, Albert, with regards obviously this United game at the weekend. Do you see Arsenal? Because I think, you know, every single game we've played so far, we've come out the blocks absolutely blistering. You know, we've really, like, as you know, Bobby was saying, you know, Brendan saying, you know, penned in, these teams and really taken the fight to them and just smothered them. I think that's one thing I noticed last night when we played Villa. They just looked smothered. Like every time the ball went in the box or in and around the box, it's like our players were quicker. Our players were to the ball quicker, and Jesus just causes absolute havoc. Like he wins balls and wins situations that you just think, oh yeah, that's not going to come of anything. And then this guy, I don't know how tall he is, 5'8" or whatever, and he just brushes off like 6'5" defender like they're not there, and almost scores a goal. Like that's been a common theme in all our games in terms of our press, in terms of our intensity, etc. Do you see us approaching this United game in the same vein? Or do you see us being a little bit more cautious and giving United the ball? Because what we have noticed, what Bobby pointed out, and what we have noticed is that when the opposition has the ball, United find it very difficult to score. United in the past, I felt like Arsenal, we've somewhat played into the hands of United. We keep ball, keep ball, keep ball. They hit us on the break, they get a goal. So with that with that kind of concept, do you think Arsenal will approach this game differently to how they approached the other games, or do you think it will just be Usain Bolt out the tracks, let's go get them, score, finish the job off as quickly as we can?
Yeah, I think looking at, to be honest, not even just this season, I think with United generally, I think we'll have more of the ball personally. I think they'll be very happy to let us have it.
Yep.
Irrespective of the time Ten Hag's been there or not, but I would hope us to impose on United as we have done in the opening 5 games before. I think my issue with the Old Trafford game is, and to be honest with you, my issue when Arsenal play the big teams away from home is, I mentioned this last season actually when we lost to Liverpool at the Emirates, that it's not so much about, for me, top 4 or where you finish the league. It's about it's also about Arsenal making statements in these games. We haven't got the given right to go and win at Anfield away or OT or Etihad, but give the away fans something. Give us something. Like I would love the day we come back and whoop Liverpool at Anfield. I don't think it's gonna happen for a few more years. That we need to be a lot more competitive in them games. So that's what I'll be looking for, pinpointing this season. But as for United, our away record in the Premier League to them is awful. It's awful. I think it's 2 wins in 16, 18, how many years it is. Adebayor, 06, and then Aubameyang a few years ago. Our record there, for some reason, is just dreadful. And it does wind me up a bit, and Bobby's touched on it, is that we've gone to OT. Even when Emery was there, Arteta there, where we have been in a position to go there and give them a pummeling.
Yeah.
And we haven't done it.
Yeah.
Not even that, we go there and lose.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, last season's game, I still can't believe it. Went there and lost. But that's the only concern for me. Records do count for something, G, because, for example, if we look at our home record against Tottenham in the Premier League, it's exceptional.
Yeah.
But when we go to their ground, we're just hopeless.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can put that right on Sunday. United, I would expect. It depends actually with Ten Hag. To the United games I've seen, I don't know how physically imposing they've been in the games against teams they've been, but if they haven't, then I expect them to do that on Sunday.
Yeah, they will.
Particularly with the likes of Scott McTominay as well.
Yeah, they'll come with the same thing that Villa came with, innit?
Who's very lucky to escape a few situations, McTominay with United. But so I'm only concerned because of our record so woeful there.
Yeah.
But like I said, we've got a couple of key additions into this side where one key thing is it's not, if you can't win your first balls, win your second balls. Arsenal been doing that very well in both aspects in the games I've seen this season so far. So we absolutely need to do that against Manchester United on Sunday. So you know what? As I think I said to you already before, in terms of like a result, score prediction wise, I said we go there and get a point. Listen, I'd be absolutely delighted if we can go there and beat United convincingly, whether that's a convincing 2-1 or a 2-0 or 3-1 even. big game. Statement game for me more than
Mhm.
anything. A statement game, but I actually do think we'll walk away with a point.
No problem, no problem. Can you give me a score prediction?
I'm gonna go for a Desmond and go 2-2.
No problem, 2-2. Stephen, I didn't get yours. I forgot to get yours. What was your score prediction for the Old Trafford game?
I'm going 2-1 Arsenal.
2-1. So we've got Brandon
Stephen.
was 2-1, Bobby was 2-0,
Yeah.
Albert was 2-2,
Yeah.
and did you say 2-1, Stephen?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, no problem. I'm not going to spend too long on it with United. I think, I'm full of confidence in terms of the way we're performing. I think we can actually go there and for once, not for once, because to be honest, it's not. I think in the last couple of games we've played there, I think I have really fancied our chances. But like you guys have said, we've not actually made the most of what have been some decent performances. So, but I think, given our form, given the players we've got in our squad, albeit a couple of key injuries, I am confident going into the match. I'm not going into this game fearing them whatsoever. Absolutely whatsoever. Like, there are players in that squad that can hurt us on the day, but I think that's the same for every single Premier League team. I think me and Bobby were talking about it in terms of Saliba and Gabriel keeping, the likes of Vardy quiet, the likes of Mitrovic. The defense have come up against, tests. They have. And I wouldn't say United have a front line that we should fear or be intimidated by. I think our backline has looked pretty comfortable in all the games. I think there have been errors, and I think those errors are more a result of them just not playing together for as long as, they've really and truly, let's face it, including pre-season, our back four's probably played 6 games together. So there are going to be errors that, communication issues, back passes, etc., etc. And when you're trying to encourage players to play from the back, like Gabriel, who is good at it, but not as good as the likes of Saliba.
Yeah.
Not naturally. Errors will be made. So I am confident going into this game. I think personally, Gabriel Jesus is going to cause them absolute nightmare at the back. I honestly cannot see Martinez and Maguire, if it's those two that are playing, to keep that guy quiet. Honestly, I can't. I think if he targets Maguire will get sent off. Because he's just not going to be able to even live with Gabriel Jesus, honestly. So I'm confident. I think we need to take the game to them. I don't think we need to, adjust any way we're playing. And I think if we're clinical, I think we'll come away with a win. And I think it will be a pretty high-scoring game. So I'm going to go 3-2. I think because of the way we play and how we have the ball, I'm less afraid of the fact of them countering us because of the pace that we do have at the back now. I think Saliba is just Saliba and Gabriel in terms of pace. Like, I don't think there are too many times we're going to get caught with a ball over the top. Put it that way.
Well said.
And I think that is something that has cost us in the past when we played United. They just ran through, literally, ball over the top, boom, Rashford through on goal. I just can't see that happening. So I'm confident. Defensively, we need to put on a good display, but I do think they still do have players that can hurt us. So I'm going to go 3-2. I think it's going to be a high-scoring game. And that's it, really. Any last thoughts? We pretty much summed everything up. I mean, I'll come to you, Stephen, because I know you just made a gesture there. At the moment, it doesn't look like we've signed anyone. So much for our transfer deadline show. But yeah, Stephen, over to you.
Yeah, I just want to ask you all a couple of questions. Just obviously now, as you rightly said, the window's closed. We haven't signed anybody else, despite the fact that, as I mentioned earlier on, Arteta has been saying we are light. We needed more players, especially sort of up front. And I'm seeing a lot of people on Twitter tonight. All of a sudden, there's a meltdown now.
Yes.
Edu out. So I want to, firstly, have we done enough in the transfer window this summer? Realistically, have we done enough? If you feel we haven't, who do you think is responsible for that? Is anybody suddenly going, oh no, Edu's not the right man for the job, after we all sort of sang his praises for the way he had acted? Now, it's obvious he's maybe not as good at selling players, but he does do some good deals when buying players. And the second thing is, for so long, people have had issues with the Cronkies and with KSE. And then all of a sudden, over the last couple of seasons, it looks like we've spent money. And that has disappeared, that sort of issue with the Cronkies, and people are sort of going, oh, it's okay. And I've never been one that's sort of been cronky out. I've kind of seen, I've already looked at their American franchises and what they do there. So I could see what was coming here. But the reality is we've spent net spend of less than 100 million this year. It's about 97 million. So do you genuinely think Arteta is being fully backed by the Cronkies? And if so, do you think we spent enough? Do you think that they've given enough money? Albert, we'll go to you first.
You got me first, yeah. Well, in regards to the window itself, I said at the end of last season, I think minimum Arsenal to bring in 4 players. They did, but the issue was for me was the central midfield areas, because I don't think the team is strong enough in that department. I don't fully trust Xhaka throughout the course of the season, despite him playing well in the last season and a half. Thomas Partey's injury record we knew was an issue. Unfortunately, since he's come to Arsenal, it wasn't the case at Madrid for some reason. So that's a big that's disappointing for me, Stephen. I think it's a good thing that we won the first 5 games. Could you imagine what it'd be like then? So I see the hashtags earlier, mate. I was made aware of that. I'm like, I think the thing is, I think Arteta, if he wasn't, he is being backed in the sense that he's still here, Stephen. Hence the reason why he's given the contract. But I think the financial side of it, he's been back more than the previous manager. That's what I definitely will say. So I don't think we can complain in that sense. So he's got the players he wanted in, Stephen. I don't know. It's questionable in terms of, we can talk about the Tielemans thing, the Douglas Luiz thing. Obviously Douglas Luiz is someone that he probably did want, but that's another story. But so he has been backed. I just think for me, Stephen, it's disappointing. You never catch me, doing the hashtag Edu outs and whatever. Listen, we knew what we got when we was getting him. Someone who wasn't particularly experienced in the role anyway. Nor was Arteta, nor was Vinay. We're the only club to do something like that, which I still find quite strange, but it is what it is, unfortunately. But what I find interesting, Stephen, with the Edu thing, right, is the same people probably starting the hashtag Edu out. Like you mentioned, we're probably very happy when the early part of the window. They wasn't criticizing him then.
100%.
We've got Fabio Vieira, and oh my God, see, he does know what he's doing. But now that we didn't get the midfield player that people did want, personnel-wise, we can argue here or there who we wanted in as Arsenal fans. But it does disappoint me they didn't get someone else in. I realistically thought a few weeks ago we get one more in, definitely one more in, preferably central midfield area. But as for the KSC thing, listen, Stephen, owners in football, I think you could do a separate show on that, to be honest with you, mate. It's hard because I think with Josh, there is, and I would say even forget all or nothing, I think there is a willingness for him, to show a bit more interest. What as a fan, what you'd want to see from your owners, basically. I think that is there with Josh. All these guys always speak well, Stephen. They're not stupid. They're put in positions in a football club where if you didn't speak well, then what the hell are you doing in the role in the first place? They're very good at hoodwinking people sometimes, with certain words and speech. But yeah, I'll keep an eye on it, Stephen. I think, you know what? When we get through to January, wherever we are, hopefully in a good position. If we're not, then people are asking questions now in terms of the window. But if things go a little bit pear-shaped in terms of form, probably goes out the window, then it'll rear its ugly head again. So I think Arteta has been back, to be fair, if I'm going on comparison, particularly with our last manager, and I just generally do think he's been backed anyway.
Okay, thank you. Brandon, isn't it?
Yes.
We haven't actually been introduced, so I'm just...
Yeah, I know. That's sweet. Yeah. Hey, nice to meet. Nice to meet you, even though it was an hour ago.
Yeah, nice to meet you too. Same questions to you, Brandon. Are you one that's going to jump on the Edu out? Do you think he's done enough? And has Arteta been fully backed?
No, I mean, you know what? I wasn't happy with the window last summer, and I wasn't happy with them January, and I'm not, like I said. I've said on other channels and that I'm not Arteta's biggest fan. I'm not Eddie's biggest fan, but I tell you what, I'm very happy with what they've done this summer. I personally didn't think they wanted to get another midfielder, even though I felt that they should. It's what Albert just said. Really, I mean, for me, I kind of had a feeling that Partey was going to get injured at some point. We always seem to get injuries and suspensions in midfield, and we're always short in midfield. But maybe they're also looking at some point for Zinchenko to also play in midfield.
Good shot.
Because he could play, as well as left back, he could play in centre mid. So, but then he's injured. So, I'm not going to throw my toys out of the pram. I'm not going to be screaming Edu out, Arteta out, none of that. It's no, not at all. I mean, I feel what I'm happy about is that we're 5 out of 5. I wouldn't want us to come out this window have not got the centre midfielder if we were 14th, 15th in the table. You know what I mean? So I'm just and really, I always find I said yesterday to a few that I always say that when you're at the top of the tree, confidence just flows for you. Everybody wants to play, and you rarely get any injuries. And you probably get those that have taken knocks, but think, well, we're top of the league. I want to play. So you know what I mean? And that's the thing. But then, because it is true, it's true, man. It's something that Paul Merson said a few weeks ago. And it's like, it's when you're at the top and you're winning games, everyone's fit. So yeah, I think we'll be all right. I think we'll be okay as long as Sambi and Xhaka, they can form a really good partnership now until the other players come back. I don't think they'll be rushed back. And as long as those two stay fit, there's no red cards, I'll be happy with that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, also good.
Brilliant. Bobby, I know you're busting the answer to this, but I'm actually going to leave you to last because I want to change it slightly for you. So, what's your thoughts? I think you're on mute, Jay.
You mute.
Go on, Jay.
Sorry, you know what it is? I took my headphones out and then it just automatically muted me.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what it is? Have we done enough in this window? Has Arteta been fully backed? I'll start with the reverse. I do think Arteta's been fully backed. And the reason why I say that is because I think there's been significant money spent in, I think when Arteta and Edu have wanted to spend money, money's been spent. And, when I say that, I'm talking about last summer. I'm not even counting January because I think they both made that decision that they just weren't going to spend any money. I don't think it was a fact that they were prevented from spending money. I think they made the decision that they weren't going to look for stopgaps. They were going to sign players that, were going to be part of the long-term future here at Arsenal. And if they couldn't get those deals done, they would just sit tight and they'd just ride it out and they'd wait till the summer. And you can see that with the signings they made. Because, let's face it, Vieira, Zinchenko and Jesus would not have been available in January. None of them would have been available in January without a shadow of a doubt. You could have bidded double the amount of money for those three players and their clubs wouldn't have sold them.
Liverpool tried to sign Vieira in January, didn't they?
this is it. So I think when Edu and Mikel Arteta have gone, look, these are the players we want, and this is the money we want to spend. I think the Kroenkes have said, here is the money. You know, go off and spend it. I think they've made conscious decisions at different parts of different windows when they've not wanted to spend. I honestly believe that. So I think that's, first of all, I think he has been backed by the ownership or whatever it is. And also, you have to take into account that Arteta's not really a guy that, you know, beats around the bush. He's actually quite transparent about a lot of things. And he has come out, he hasn't just come out and said, yeah, they've backed me. He's shouted it from the rooftops. Like, when people have asked him and questioned him about the ownership, you know, he's not been quiet about it. He's like, yes, they fully back me. We have support. I can't ask for no more. So we can only go by what he said. We can only go by the money spent and what him and Edu were saying. And even in Edu's recent interview, he said the exact same thing. He held the support of the Kroenkes and the ownership of the club. So for me, I can only come to the conclusion that, yeah, you know, Edu, Mikel Arteta, the squad has been backed financially, and that's why we've made the signings we have. In terms of the reasons why we haven't necessarily made maybe the signings that the fan base would have wanted, again, I think it's a conscious decision. I really do. I think Mikel Arteta and Edu have looked at the squad. They probably looked at that midfield situation, and they probably have midfield targets that are not necessarily ready or not necessarily available. And it's quite clear, you know, you've seen it in the market. We've all been raving about Tielemans. They didn't even bid. They didn't even bid. Like, that's a conscious decision. That's not a club. That's not two men that don't know what they're doing. Whether we agree with what they're doing is right or wrong, that's another conversation. But they made a decision to not bid for Tielemans the whole summer, even when every single reporter and journalist said we are interested. They made a decision to not do it. So these guys have clearly got a plan. They've clearly got a strategy, and they're clearly gonna, you know, follow it through. And like I say, whether we agree with it or not is a whole nother conversation. But you know, the Douglas Luiz move was simply off the back of what happened to El Neni and Thomas Partey. And Arteta said it. He said it at the end of the Villa game. Because of those two injuries, we're short, so we'll see what we can do. Had they not got injured, we wouldn't have moved for him. Because I honestly believe they were happy with the midfield. Again, we might not agree with it, but I think it was a conscious decision. They were happy with the midfield. And who knows, the midfielders that they actually want to get are probably just not available. Or maybe they don't have the finances to do it this summer. Who knows? But I don't think we can use the excuse that Arteta and Edu haven't been backed. I think they have. I think they've had a clear plan from the get-go. When they were signing the players last summer, and me included, was going absolutely mental, completely underwhelmed by those players. Look at those players now. Some of those players got songs. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you know, it's, you know, it's, do you know what I mean? It's easy to sit here as fans and just be like, yeah, Ramsdale's rubbish, Ben White's rubbish, and all of that. But I think you find it hard. You know, there has been the odd, you know, Willian, there has been, you know, the Mari. But if you look at the signings they've made, if you look at that 11, that is Bar Xhaka, that's his 11.
Yeah.
And when you look at that 11 is 5 wins out of 5, 15 points, top of the table. When have we last done that?
Exactly.
You know, so, you know,
some fans are still not happy.
This is it. It is a long season, and time will tell whether or not, you know, we'll look back. We'll look back and think, you know, maybe we could have made another couple of seasons, but we just at the end of the day, we can only judge what's in front of us. And right now, for me, despite no more signings today, there is very little we should be complaining about as a fan base, because we got to enjoy the moments. I said this, I remember I said this to you, Stephen, even earlier in the window. I'm like, you've got to enjoy the good moments when they come, because they're not always going to last forever. Now, that's why I was so happy and celebrating the Jesus signing and the Vieira signing, because look, deadline day comes, we don't make any signings and everyone's disappointed. You got to enjoy the good moments when they come, because then the bad moments don't feel as bad. It's all about measuring it.
Are they bad moments?
Yeah. In terms of have we done enough, in my personal opinion, although I've just praised them and whatever, I don't think we have, in all honesty. I think in an ideal world, I wanted to see 3 coming between, you know, the Zinchenko signing and the end of the window. And that was a forward player, because I think we're light across the front 3. We do have players that can play right, like Marquinhos and Vieira, but Marquinhos we haven't seen play in a competitive game yet. And Vieira, for me, he's a number 10, he's a number 8. He's not natural on the right-hand side. When I've seen him play in clips, he's always been that player, like an Odegaard type or a number 8. And also, when I saw him in the under-23s, he looked absolutely lost on the wing. So I don't really see him, you know, out there. And like I say, Marquinhos is a bit of an unknown quantity. I do think we are light in midfield. But again, you know, no midfielder's been signed, so we just have to hope that the squad can cope. And me, in an ideal world, I would have sold Holding. I know, you know, Holding has come on. He does a job. We know his role in the squad. He's a likable character. And I have warmed to him. But ultimately, when I see the way we play, we've got 3 centre-backs that can play the way we play, and we've got 1 that can't. And ultimately, we need a Holding in the squad. So maybe it was a case of maybe buying an additional left centre-back and keeping Holding as our 5th choice. But I would have liked a left centre-back to compete with Gabriel. But naturally, I see Saliba and Ben White eventually competing for the right centre-back spot once Tommy's fit. And I see Gabriel as our only kind of natural left centre-back, even though I know Saliba can play there. But this talk of KT going left centre-back, I don't want to hear that. I honestly don't want to hear that. It's not Scotland group game in the Euros. This is the Premier League. He'll get found out in that position, in my opinion. So yeah, I think he's been backed. I think the club are doing a great job in terms of recruitment. Did they do enough? No, but you know what? The window's open in 20 games. We're top of the league. Happy days.
Yeah.
Thank you. You kind of stole a little bit of my thunder there in terms of what I'm going to ask Bobby in a wee sec, but something you did sort of go into, and I think it's good. We'll maybe do a wee show on this in the next week or 2. And if Albert and Brendan are free, we'll get you guys back on to do this show with us. And we'll maybe have a look at the squad as it is now. So what we're going into the rest of the season with, and we'll evaluate it and sort of give our opinions on, you know, who we think should be staying as part of the squad and who maybe long term we should be getting rid of. You know, so G's mentioned there, but like Holding, for example. We'll have a conversation, and we'll then maybe redo that show right at the end of the season and reevaluate, because if you look at the start of last season and we looked at the signings we made, you know, we all have been going, oh, Ramsdale, you know, he's had 3 relegations in 3 seasons. He's not the goalkeeper for us. And then all of a sudden you fast forward to the end of the season and everybody's raving about Ramsdale. You know, so I think it's maybe worth doing that. Having a wee look at the squad now and coming back and seeing at the end of the season how our opinions have changed on certain players. So if you guys are up for that, we'll get you back on and we'll do that in the next couple of weeks sometime.
Yeah, good
Yeah, I'll be up for that.
Yeah. So Bobby, I'm going to come to you, and I want to change the question slightly, because I know that, you know, you've always backed Arteta and you've always backed Edu.
From day one.
What?
I said from day one.
Yeah,
yes.
From day one, you've backed him, you know. So there's no point me turning around to you and saying, are you now suddenly going to be Edu out? You're not, and I know that. So it's a stupid question to ask you. But what I want to ask you is, you know, given the fact that Arteta had come out and said we are light and we still need some players, where do you think it's gone wrong? Where do you think we've fallen down in this one? Because we've had all summer to get these players in, and yet we haven't got them in. You know, we've gone into deadline day believing that we were going to be going in for a winger and a central midfielder. Now, yes, last night that apparently changed because of the injuries, but we've then spent all day trying to get Douglas Luiz. But what happened to trying to get the winger just in case we couldn't get Luiz? What happened to getting a different central midfielder? So we've ended up, rather than potentially we could have got one of those other 2 positions filled, but we've ended up with nothing. So where do you think it went wrong?
I don't think anything went wrong, personally. I know you keep on saying that you've heard Arteta said that he wanted extra players, but I've also heard him say after 3 of the games that we played that if he didn't sign anybody else, he'd be also happy with the squad. So it depends on how you interpret what he says. And I interpret what he says by the actions of the club. And the actions of the club have kind of been get all your business done early. And then, I mean, G's touched on this many times. If something else arises in the window later on that the club see as viable, that fits in with what they are doing, that they will do. For me, it looks like they've set probably a price that they're willing to play for Douglas Luiz, and Villa are probably just gone above it, and they've said, okay, we'll do it if you'll give us Luiz for say 18 million. We'll do it. We don't mind spending that on him, but we're not going to spend a penny more because we're not that desperate, and he wasn't part of our long-term plan. But you know, at the end of his deal, when he's free, then maybe he could become part of our long-term plan, just like Danilo and just like Tillemans. You know, Tillemans, everyone, the media might be talking about it, and Orny did say that we spoke to his agent in January, and maybe we spoke to his agent in January, and his agent told the club, "We'll come to you. He only wants to come to Arsenal." And then Arsenal probably thought, well, he's not our main target, so at least we know he's there. And if he really does want us, we'll see. Also, we did hear that Edu spoke about people saying that, you know, we want those that want to come to Arsenal, that want us. And if they don't want us, then we don't want you, sort of thing. So, you know, there's a lot of variables, isn't there, in the characters that they're trying to acquire in the club, you know. So, and I'm happy with the deals that they've got done early, because whether you like it or not, they've added players that are all going to enhance the first 11, the strongest 11 of the team. So when we look at the bench in the first 3 games, it also all of a sudden it looks good, and that's without Pepe, and that's without Maitland-Niles, and that's without Nelson. You know, so I'm happy with the way that we're going. I'm happy with the direction. I don't think that there's any problem in not signing anyone, and I think that this Douglas Luiz thing, as we've all touched on, was just basically cover because we've had injuries. We've also just seen that Lee's now put a message in saying that Partey's injury is not as bad as they first feared. So, you know, maybe with all those variables connected to it, do they need to go out and buy Douglas Luiz, especially when Sambi Lokonga played well the other night as well? So, yeah, I don't think that there's a problem, and I think that they're happy. And I think if they thought that there was a problem, I think they might have addressed it earlier on. All the answers to the questions, the other 2 questions that you asked, G touched on every single answer that I would have gave. Well, actually, Brendan and Albert have as well. All of them made exactly some of the same points that I would have made. Because, as you know, I'm a massive Edu and Arteta fan, and one of the biggest things for me behind me backing them is the fact that they both wore our shirt, and there's no other club in the Premier League that can say that they've got 2 custodians running their club that actually know what it's like to be an Arsenal player and be part of the club and be part of the fabric of the club. And when you look at them as characters as well, you know, Edu was really quiet and invincible. He wasn't a starter in that invincible team, but he was backup because he was always behind Edu. I mean, he was always behind Vieira and Petit or Gilberto. So you kind of know what big games. Yeah, and he always come in in big games and did really well. Yeah. And then you've got Arteta. As soon as he came in, he was named captain, and Wenger always used to talk about how good of a coach he was and how good tactically he was, and that's the reason why he gave him the armband. So the fact that we've got those 2 running our club should give Arsenal fans that confidence that we've got 2 people not only kind of know what they're doing, but they genuinely care and love the club and want it to go in the right direction. So the other point that we touched on as well, Stephen, that you touched on, is that the Kroenkes are very successful in America. Not many franchises have won the Super Bowl, and they've just gone and they turned the Rams totally around. Colorado Avalanche have just won the NHL. They've gone in there and they did exactly pretty much the same as what they've done at Arsenal, and they've come in there and they've bought like 8 players, all under the age of 23. Totally changed. They've gone and won the Stanley Cup. So these guys know what they're doing, man. They know what they're doing, you know, and the fact that they keep on inviting Mikel Arteta over there as well to have chats and to see what they're doing over there, it's almost like they're trying to mirror things with Arsenal, with their other franchises. So I've touched on it before with G. I'm really excited by the direction that we're going. And I'm even more excited when I feel the passion of Mikel Arteta, especially seeing All or Nothing. It was a fantastic insight to see what was going on behind the club. He just added more transparency to us. Sorry, Albert, was you going to say something?
No, I can say a couple of things about Arteta. I'm going to do it in reverse. In terms of the All or Nothing thing, and I said this to G actually. I think when we heard that documentary was coming out, Stephen, I said it's going to do two things. The first thing I said it's going to do, for the ones that obviously Bobby, you've mentioned you're like a fan of Arteta. What it would do. That's even before I even saw a clip. For the ones that are kind of very in favor of Arteta, it's only going to make their standpoints even stronger with him. Because I don't think the ones that dislike him can dislike him anymore. And what I also will say, I've always said this about Mikel Arteta, and I think it's a bit unfair sometimes with the Arsenal fan bases. If Stephen, I don't know if you guys might agree, but if we'd have got the Mikel Arteta that played for Arsenal that was at Everton before the ACL injury, he would be looked upon a lot more fondly at Arsenal by some sections of our fan base, 100,000,000%. Not to say he was a bad player at Arsenal, but if we'd have got the Mikel, because listen, let's have it right. He was a good player at Everton. He was a very good player at Everton before the injury, but he's not looked upon that fondly because with Edu, it's the Invincible and all the ex-players that play for Arsenal.
Edu was a better player, though, I felt.
Yeah, I couldn't. I agree 100%. Bro, just Paul Davis. I brought Paul Davis into the Arsenal team now. Don't worry about Edu and the others.
Oh yeah, man.
Lampard and Gerrard comparison. People were liking Lampard and Gerrard as managers just purely because they were better players.
Yeah,
and Arteta was getting the smoke because he wasn't.
Right, that's right.
Very true.
And now look,
but with Arteta, with the Arsenal fans,
the whole club around.
Yeah. I do think that's part of the issue with some of them.
Massively. You hit the nail on the head there, Albert. Massively. Massive point there.
I agree.
We all saw that.
Yeah, I think, for me, the thing with Arteta, while we're touching on that, is, people always say Pep's cone boy and things like that, and it winds me up.
Yeah.
Saying, people going, it was too big a job for him for his first job. And what's he ever done? And he Pep's cone boy and stuff like that. And my answer to that is always Bobby Robson's translator. His first job was at Sporting Lisbon. Sporting Lisbon. He went on to do okay. So, let's not worry about that. But yeah, Bobby, thank you for your answer. Great answer. And yeah, as you say, it does very much to me look like KSE are replicating what they did in America. They won the NHL, the Stanley Cup, and they won the Super Bowl both this season.
Not easy to win in America.
Yeah, so they're a big deal. They know what they're doing, and it's very much the same pattern: young coach, new, young, hungry players, and that's what we've done at Arsenal. It's a new, young coach bringing in new, young, hungry players, and hopefully we'll have the same success. Transfer window's closed. We love the transfer window here on this channel because we love the drama of it. It's like a soap opera. But the one thing I would love to do is how many rumors we go through, and we talk about this all the time. The amount of rumors and players that we're linked with. I would love to sit down with Edu or Arteta and just go through the list of players and go, right, Tielemans, were you actually interested?
Yeah.
They'd probably say
were
no.
you interested? What's that? Sorry.
I'm sure they'd say no.
Probably, but it would be interesting to see how many of these rumors there actually was any sort of substance to.
Because the reality is, we were linked with. Well, at one point in time, I think we stopped counting when it got to about 30 odd. But yeah, we were linked. We've probably been linked with hundreds of players, and the reality is, we've signed 5. So it's just nuts. And like I think Bobby said earlier. The all or nothing. It actually wasn't all or nothing. It was Edu's recent interview where he said, did we bid for Rafinha? And he was like, no, we didn't. I just called my mate Deco, asked if he was interested in the move, and he said no, he's Barcelona, and he's like, okay, thank you, goodbye. You know what I mean? But the journalists were like, we slapped down 50 million, and Chelsea put down more money, and he's going to choose Chelsea, and Chelsea fans were putting him in Chelsea shirts and posting him on Twitter. And this time, he had a chat with his mate, and he didn't even bid. It's just like,
sorry, Stephen, you make a good point.
It's
Stephen, you
nuts.
make a good point. Because like, in terms of like the truth of rumors and that, because even I was talking, even me and G were chatting earlier, and I thought it for a few years. I just get embarrassed when I see some of the stuff that's been tweeted, for example, from some of these Arsenal accounts. I just like you quite clearly do not know what you're talking about. Because for me, no disrespect, listen, journalists would be the first people to admit, whether it's Charles Watts or Ornstein or maybe even Sami Makbar or whoever it is, right, would say, you know what, we don't always get it right. But I'm more likely to believe them because they're going to be in the know. That's the ironic thing about it. But these accounts on Twitter, some of the stuff I was seeing tweeted today, I couldn't believe what I was seeing, man. Like, it was crazy.
Bro.
I say it's embarrassing. Honestly, I don't know if it's like this at any other. It probably is at other football clubs, but we're Arsenal fans. We're going to talk about Arsenal. But some of the stuff you think you just see it, you just think, and they quote tweet someone else that they've said it. But I'm like, well, not really, because that particular person who you're quote tweeting, they don't do transfer rumors. So why are you doing that?
It's funny you're saying that. I remember saying to G last summer. I was in a group on Twitter and never really commented or anything on it. But someone in there actually set up an account, and they started tweeting news that other journalists were, big name journalists were tweeting to build up a little bit of credibility and to get some followers. And once they built up a little bit of credibility and got some followers, they just started making stuff up and putting in the completely made up stuff just to see what people would believe.
Jeez.
So it's easy done. It's really easily done.
Yeah.
So you're right. You have to take a lot of it with a pinch of salt, and we always say that, especially when we start our rumor mill shows each summer. It's we take this with a pinch of salt, but at the same time, we enjoy talking about it, and we enjoy thinking, would that player fit in well at our club? And hearing different people's opinions and stuff, because we all have different opinions and we all have different players that we would love to see play for Arsenal. So yeah, I mean, for me, the transfer window, it's a long drawn out thing, but I enjoy it. I know G enjoys it. We enjoy the
yeah, man. You have good
buzz of it. It's a bit of fun as long as you don't take it too seriously.
It's even a G. I haven't put a tweet in our chat. And the guy, there's someone tweeted that the Louise deal was done.
Was done, yeah.
It's about an hour and a half before the window
from time ago. And guess what, guys? Edu out is trending.
Oh no, it's mad.
It's absolutely trending. I'm not even joking. How ridiculous is that? Gee, this fan base, man, I tell you.
It's finished, bro. I'm telling you.
Gee, I will hand the show back to you now.
That's why sometimes I just log off, and just say, yo, Bridget, I just can't do it. Like I said earlier, I'm following so many people today because there was so many people like hailing Bellerin and hailing Aubameyang, and I was just like, just get a grip, man. Move on.
Crazy. Like they're not our players.
They're not even Arsenal players no more. Like, allow it, man. Listen, we've been on the air for 2. You know what I mean? You can tell, I've been on the air for 2.5 hours because I start losing composure. Start kissing my tea and all sorts. But we've been on the air for 2.5 hours. It's amazing how so many of you have been with us in the chat, etc., etc. Obviously, the transfer deadline day hasn't gone as planned because obviously we have. Well, for some people it has, for some people it hasn't. In terms of signings, but I just want to obviously massively thank obviously Lee, who was with us earlier, official Cannon Chat member. He had to go, but massive thanks. I think he's watching, to you for joining us tonight. I'm going to come to you first, Brendan. Thank you so much for giving your time. 2.5 hours. Time is precious. And we massively appreciate it. It was your debut tonight, and I think you put in a fantastic performance. We'll definitely have you back, as Stephen said. Let the people know, obviously, where they can find you. If you want to plug or do anything like that, go ahead.
You can find me on the Armory TV from time to time. I've been on there quite regularly in the last month or so, and also Brenny K74 at Brendan Winter on Twitter.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Yeah,
Thank
follow,
you so
bruv.
much. Thank you so much. Albert, I'll come to you. Obviously, brother from another mother. We talk all the time. And one of the OGs in terms of this YouTube game. Lovely to have you on as always. Long overdue for you to make another appearance. But yeah, let the people know where they can find you, what you got coming up. Take it away.
No, much love, man. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while. Well, I technically have been on your channel, if it makes sense, during the
Yeah,
women's
the
Euros.
Euros. Yeah.
Technically, you're speaking, yeah. But
Yeah.
no, good to meet. Obviously, I've seen Bobby for a long time, but Stephen, good to see you again. Nice to meet you, Brenny, as well, man.
Yeah,
but yeah,
thanks.
Albert J TV people. That's where you can find me. Things coming up, G. I've got a Man United preview coming up, which I had to change because I couldn't do it today, unfortunately. Live stories is continuing. I've got a special guest coming up, hopefully very soon, exclusive. Hopefully, the person has agreed. They said once the transfer window's over, then hopefully they'll come on. So yeah, looking forward to it, man. And yeah, previews, reviews, and probably some more live reactions at the Emirates this season. Did the first one the other day after a few technical issues, but we got there.
Yeah. Wicked. And obviously, just to let everybody know, because earlier when Brendan was speaking, and firstly when Albert was speaking, it wasn't on the actual screen, but do look at their names on the screen. That's where you can find them in terms of YouTube channels as well as on Twitter. I'll come to you, Bobby. Obviously, one of the member of the Cannon Chatter team. Any last thoughts before we go tonight?
No, man, I just want to tell Gooners to hold tight and be happy.
Yeah.
Don't go into meltdown. There's going to
be
more.
Late, bro. It's too late.
It started at 11 o'clock this morning.
There's going to be more bumps in the road.
Yeah,
You're slap bang in the
100%.
middle of this process. It's still a process. We're still young. We still got the youngest team in the Prem. And I still think we're punching above our weight. You know, five wins out of 5. There's still some bits in our performances that aren't 100%. Mikel Arteta's even said it. So it's fantastic at the minute, but let's not get carried away. But let's not also kill the team if it doesn't get where we need to get. You know what I'm saying? So let's have a little bit of realism and just enjoy this ride and enjoy the happy vibe that Mikel Arteta and Edu's been creating right about now. You know. But yeah, nice to meet you, Brenny. I was just grabbing your hat then.
Nice to meet you too, man.
Yeah, man. I'll follow you on Twitter and catch up with you a bit more. And Albert, you go to games, man. So we'll have to link up at a game. I'm season ticket this year, so
yeah. Hopefully, Bobby, I'll try and get my first away game this season. Hopefully, I'll let you know.
Man. And we'll try and jump on. I'll jump on your little live reaction with you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely, man. Definitely.
I'm happy now. You know what I mean? Stephen, good to see you again, pal.
Make sure Bobby ain't had too many dragon starts by then, bro.
That's what you tell him for. Albert, you'll meet me in the off license underneath the bridge, mate.
No worries, I'm there, man. I'm gonna pinpoint it now.
Oh Lord, Stephen, I'm coming to you. Give us any last thoughts before we go, man.
Well, Stephen.
Do you know what? As Bobby says, it's going to be a long season. There's going to be a lot of bumps in the road, but the good news is I've got some fresh popcorn for when G-Rant comes back. I can sit back and relax and listen to your rant. Do you know what, though? I just want to very quickly take a quick moment to do something slightly different. And I just want to say thank you to G. Me and G obviously founded this channel together. And this summer, I haven't been about much, just with the change in work and with one of my kids being quite sick and in the hospital and stuff. And G's held the fort, and you know, obviously along with Bobby and Lee, he's kept things going, kept it together, and kept in loads of good content. And you know what, we'd be lost without you, G. So thank you for always making yourself available and keeping the channel running.
Thank you, bro. Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. And you know what, I can only obviously say I appreciate that, but also extend my thanks to both Bobby and Lee because you know they've been there kind of every step of the way with me. So I think, you know, when times get tough, what people need to remember that besides YouTube and Twitter, we're real people. We've got real lives. We've got real responsibilities. And we juggle a lot, you know, a lot of stuff that's BAU, business as usual, and a lot of stuff that life sometimes just throws our way. And I think what we have here at Cannon Chatter is it's not just a YouTube team. It's not just a Twitter team. Like we're brothers. Do you understand? In terms of like, if somebody's going through something, I would like to think that we're all here to support the other person. So Stephen's been going through what he's been going through. Don't think twice. It's he's done it for me. I'll do it. I'll continue to do it for him, and that's just how we roll. But yeah, I appreciate your kind words, Stephen. But like I said, I can extend that thanks, as you did say, to Bobby and Lee as well, because like I say, I can turn up here, I can host, but without them, I don't even have a show as well. I've got to be hunting for guests every week. So massive thanks to both Bobby and Lee for obviously riding the summer out with me too.
Sorry, just very quickly as well, let's not obviously forget Lottie. With the women's content, as far as I recall, she's back tomorrow night, hopefully, as the women's season kicks off. I think end of next week.
I think so.
I believe she's back tomorrow night with some women's content. So we can't forget Lottie, and obviously Albert and Lottie did some great shows during the summer during the women's Euros, and obviously culminated with the England women winning something.
They did.
So well done, and thank you for that, Albert, during the summer as well.
Yeah, no. Listen, bro. No worries, man. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Love coming to your channel, man.
Man, I can feel the love, man. I can feel the love. You know what I mean? We didn't sign anybody, but I can feel the love, man. You know what I'm saying? That's nice. That's a nice way to end the show, That's
right, shut up and get off the screen. I want to go
bed. Anyway, so yeah, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure. We didn't sign anybody, but as we said, 5 wins out of 5, 15 points, top of the league. It's going to be bumps in the road, as Bobby said, but let's try and be positive when we can, because there are going to be times in the season when we're probably going to want to pull our hair out. But yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure to share this panel with all of you tonight. And yeah, until next time, keep chatting.